Ladies and gentlemen, according to my iPhone, it is now 9:31. And we all know and trust our iPhones. So, Director Miniger, would you lead us in the invocation, and Director Murphy, the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
My pleasure, Mr. Chair. Dear wise and loving Father, first, let me say thank you on behalf of all of who are gathered here this morning. Thank you for your many abundant blessings in Orange County. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, our sustenance, and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, we pray for our board leaders, for the various levels of the transportation corridor agencies, and in particular for these two assembled boards. I'm asking that you would graciously grant us wisdom to govern amid the potential conflict in interest and issues of our mobility, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our residents and commuters, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability for these two board members to work together in harmony, even though when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in our lives and joy in our governing tasks. I pray for the agenda set before us this morning. Please give us an assurance that what we would please you and we would benefit those who live, work, and commute in and around our beloved County of Orange. It is in our most blessed name we pray. Amen.
You remain standing, place your hand over your heart, and join me in the salute to the flag of this great nation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you like to do the roll call, please?
We don't have a quorum yet for Foothill, but I can start with San Joaquin.
Okay.
Vice Chair Caruth.
Here.
Director Miniger.
Present.
Director Munsing.
Here.
Director Piotr.
Here.
Director Swartz.
Here.
Director Vixarek.
Here.
Director Foley. Director Connors. Chair Sachs.
Here.
Vice Chair Shea.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Here.
Director Marriott.
Here.
And I'll take the existing Foothill roll call, and we'll adjust it as members arrive. Director Beal. Director Huang.
Here.
Director Mueller.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Puckett.
Here.
Director Ward.
Here.
And that is our roll call for now.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Excuse me, we now move to item number 2, section 1, San Joaquin Hills election of board chair and vice chair. Madam Chair, did you want to make any nominations?
Yes, I will. It's a pleasure, and I do so with great confidence. I'll nominate Fred Miniger to serve as vice chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to make you chair first.
Now that is a scary
Before she
thought.
can
Wait.
do- I'd like to
The way
nominate Melody Caruth
I'll
for
second that.
chair.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You always treated me like you're the chair anyway, so. But now, would you like to do anything, Madam Chair?
At this time, I will nominate Fred Miniger to serve as my vice chair, our vice chair for San Joaquin.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, congratulations to both of you. And,
Thank you.
We will move forward now with we don't need a speech, Fred. We already heard your invocation.
Ouch.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, members of the public may address the boards regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of boards, but no action may be taken on the off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 30 minutes for comments unless different time limits are set by the chair, subject to the approval of the boards. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Additional public comments will be held before the closed session portion of the agenda during public comments continuation part 2 and shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 30 minutes for comments unless different time limits remain are set by the chair, subject to approval of the boards. The balance of public comments will be heard after closed session portion of the agenda during public comments continued part 3. So I have before me some public comments, and we will start with Cord Bauer, who will be followed by Joanna Matthews. Mr. Bauer, please.
Good morning. 17 years ago, in 1 month, my wife and I watched the 9/11 attacks on TV from our home in Aliso Viejo. It was especially stressful because we were in escrow on a new home in San Clemente. Even with the post-9/11 fear and uncertainty, we felt some relief to be moving because the El Toro airport fight was happening. People in Aliso Viejo, Mission Viejo, and many other areas were concerned about losing their quality of life. They were up against some very wealthy people in Newport Beach and some very powerful developers and their political allies. This sounds a lot like the toll road fight now, but sanity prevailed and the airport was voted down. Even with a vision for the beautiful Great Park, the mayor of Irvine decided the best way forward was to hire consultants, lots of them. In the end, $50 million that could have been poured into improvements for the Great Park were squandered. We all know that the TCA has many consultants. I only have 3 minutes, which is why you get 2 cautionary tales out of 1 story. I think the single greatest economic change to Aliso Viejo, or many other cities, would be if 73 toll road was free. Families would have hundreds or thousands more in their budget. Companies would not have a toll road barrier impeding their businesses. The South Orange County Economic Coalition loves the toll roads, but they never mention these issues or that we will all still be paying tolls 35 years from now. The goals of the TCA should be to serve the people of Orange County by improving mobility and making the toll rates as low as possible. The first point in a December 9th, 2016 letter from Caltrans to Mr. Cramen says, tools such as dynamic pricing on TCA facilities are consistent with Caltrans managed lane vision. Where is the dynamic pricing? If you haven't heard of this letter, there's some really interesting stuff included. If you have, why don't we have dynamic pricing now? Maybe it's because it's not part of the TCA's mandate. Look at their mission online. It talks about enhancing mobility in Orange County, but says nothing about prices. Don't they know that the two are connected? Members of the board, the TCA is Orange County's toll road monopoly, but you have the power to decide if your residents pay a fair price or one that requires monopoly money to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna Matthews is followed by Todd Stearns.
Hi, I'm reading this on behalf of Dr. Justine Ray, who's an adjunct professor at the Graduate School of Education and Psychology at Pepperdine University and the founder, executive director of the Gratitude Garden Preschool in San Clemente. This article was published recently. The title of the article is New Research Warns Families of Health Consequences Near Highways. New findings by UCLA and the California Air Resources Board show that harmful pollutants from cars and trucks can drift more than 1.5 miles from Southern California freeways, suggesting that air pollution's effects could be more widespread than previously thought. According to a recent study by the Keck School of Medicine at USC, children who lived or attended school within approximately 1/3 of a mile to a highway since age 10 had substantial deficits in lung function by the age of 18 compared to children living or attending school at least 1 mile away. Throughout the past decade, epidemiological studies have reported a consistent relationship between increases in particulate matter exposure, which is emitted from vehicles, and contemporary increases in mortality and morbidity. The smallest particle matters are the most dangerous as they carry toxic substances deeper into the lungs and body, and as a result have more profound health effects. Health studies show that the most vulnerable are children whose developing lungs and brain can be harmed for life by air pollution. The Children's Health Study from the University of Southern California found that children living or attending school or daycare near freeways and toll roads have higher asthma rates, reduced lung function, cancer, autism, and learning disorders. In 2003, California state law prohibited schools from building campuses within 500 feet of a freeway or highway due to health concerns. Recently, there has been emerging data suggesting that pollutants from traffic interfere with cognitive function and may play a role in autism. Women who live near areas of high automobile traffic during pregnancy have a 20 to 30% higher chance of having children with lung impairment. Particle matter exposure from proximity to high traffic during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy doubles the risk for autism. Children are especially vulnerable to auto emission health impacts because they breathe air relative to their body weight, are more physically active, and spend more times outdoors during times when pollutant levels are at their highest. Researchers from the University of Southern California urge parents to examine the proximity of their child's school or daycare to freeways, highways, and toll roads. The safe distance away is recommended to be at least 1 mile. In Los Angeles County, 169 daycare centers have been identified as being too close to freeways and subsequent dangers of particle matter. Researchers advise that such dangers need to be more understood by parents, and the public needs to be aware of direct health impacts of high traffic roadways. To solve this problem, one proposal for high air quality district planning in California would require that builders of home, schools, or daycare centers provide notice to the customers of toxic emissions, including those from busy roads within 1,000 feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd Stearns, followed by Sandy Marquez. And could y'all put your sign down, please, so people behind you can see? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Todd Stearns, and I'm a 20-year resident of Orange County, 16 of those in Ladera Ranch. My comments to you today relate to your process, which some people have complimented you on. I see things a little bit differently. For one, you asked people with no engineering experience to offer suggestions on planning regional mobility. Further, each of those people had their own biases based on where they live, their driving habits, quality of life expectations. Pretty sure no one living in San Clemente offered up relief ideas 14, 15, or 17. Speaking of relief ideas, option 18 was not added by the stakeholders that participated in the community ascertainment study, as I understand it. That doesn't seem fair, does it? 2, rather than creating a collaborative process, you have effectively mobilized city against city and community against community. Residents from friendly communities whose kids go to the same schools differ in goals and strategies. We shouldn't be working against each other looking at the future of transportation in Orange County. We should be in the same room at the same table. Speaking of goals, I am fuzzy as to what the main goal of this project is. The South Orange County Traffic Relief Effort website simply states that there is excessive I-5 traffic during the morning and evening commute times. That is way too vague. Can you please clearly state the project goal and explain how any possible toll road extension in the southeast part of the county will impact the 42 miles of Interstate 5 in Orange County as it runs from Buena Park to San Clemente? Then, what of the traffic bottleneck through Camp Pendleton? Will that section of the 5 be widened? Also on the website, it states that OCTA and other transportation planning agencies throughout the region will participate in this process with TCA. So I would like to know exactly what role and feedback these other groups have provided. TCA is going to spend millions evaluating each of these options, some of which aren't even within your jurisdiction. I would rather see those millions go to paying down the debt you have refinanced to the middle of this century. We value quality of life here. That's why we pay so much to live in Orange County. In the end, the TCA may ask one community to live with the impacts of building a toll road for the next 50 years. This board should delegate the final say to the voters if it gets that far. Lastly, it is my view that Los Patrones should remain free. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy can you pronounce your last name for us, please?
Marquez.
Marquez, thank you very much, followed
you.
by Richard Longdardner.
This is my third visit to the podium to speak to you. The TCA proposals are affecting my life personally and professionally as a top real estate agent in San Clemente. My home is near Route 14, and I bought this home specifically for the quiet location and was told by the builder that the surrounding land was protected and could never be developed. We are far away from noise and pollution. We are surrounded by hills next to hiking trails and a quiet, family-friendly cul-de-sac. I represent thousands of homeowners in San Clemente that would be affected. I hear their fear and concerns every day. Any routes near neighborhoods will destroy the peace and tranquility these homeowners sought and paid for. For example, Route 14 would deeply affect the value of approximately 9,000 homes and 36,000 family members. The average price of the homes near this route is $1.2 million, which equates to over $1 trillion of real estate values. And the majority of the homes have panoramic Ocean Hill views. I am sure you saw the photos in the Orange County Register. A 30% drop in home values would decrease home equity by $3.2 billion and would reduce tax revenue annually in the amount of $35 million. Is the County of Orange prepared for a loss of $35 million? Personally, I've already seen the loss of a sale due to the TCA proposals. The values of these homeowners are already being affected. Certain neighborhoods have been identified and property values decreasing because of the proposals. What is happening now is referred to as inverse condemnation and can have legal consequences. The majority of the families in San Clemente are being held hostage because they simply cannot afford to move and lose valuable equity. And this is only the beginning because these are just proposals. We have positively identified so far about 8 homes that have fallen out of escrow due to the location. This will not only affect realtors, but all the related industries. The real estate damage and despair will affect all of South Orange County, even your own neighborhoods, if you allow the TCA to destroy San Clemente. I invited you all to hike the hills that you're trying to destroy. Has anyone on this board done this? You need to see these neighborhoods and families being affected. It is shocking and unbelievable just how close this toll road would be to existing neighborhoods. As board members and elected officials, this should be mandated before you make any decisions. I want to personally invite you to a confidential tour of the area. Please contact me, Sandy Marquez, RE/MAX Coastal Homes. This is not just a proposal on paper. It's a proposal that will destroy the lives of many. The city has just conducted a hike where over 200 people hiked the hills and were made aware of your plans to devastate our mitigated land, a serious property rights violation. This land was set aside to be open space forever. Unless the vote of the people overturned that, the legislative route was intended around San Clemente. The $127 million La Plata has provided an alternative to thousands of homeowners east of the I-5. The TCA proposal is redundant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Richard, followed by Kathy Dennehy.
Good morning. I've asked someone to speak on my behalf. I'm a little trouble in my throat here. Thank you.
Did I pronounce your name correctly, sir?
Actually, it's Longobardo.
Thank
You
you.
know what? It's been mispronounced so many years, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Thank you very much for the consideration.
thank you.
Can you reset the time clock, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Courtney Wasetich. I am a homeowner in Talega. I'm going to go off script this morning, partly because the day started off pretty ironic with the opening prayer dictating that I follow my government. I'm actually here to speak against my government, and I do oppose the toll road and the continuing existence of the TCA. It should be dissolved. The model of the toll road is as relevant as a VCR. It is not innovative. It has no purpose anymore. States like North Carolina and Texas are abandoning their contracts. And in February 2016, the Alliance for Toll-Free Interstates put together a wonderful academic paper detailing the worldwide failure of toll road models, dictating that government-sponsored tolling studies are inherently flawed, biased, fraught with errors, and overly optimistic. This basically summarizes what happened with the TCA's projections with respect to the ridership of the 73 and the 241, which is why the TCA is in the financial boondoggle that it finds itself. Ridership is low, and I don't think you need me to point out how many times you've had to refinance, and the fact that the bonds were downgraded to junk status until recently. The grand jury has recommended that the TCA put in place an aggressive plan to reduce debt, which it's not. And I believe that the TCA holds 63% of the total debt reported by all JPAs in Orange County. This is not financial solvency, and if you were in private sector, you would have gone bankrupt. I'm going to quote one of the board members here because his words resonate with me, that government does not compete, nor is it required to make a profit. It just spends more of your money. And that's what you're doing. You're raising toll rates. You're spending money on a project that is the road to nowhere, according to Kamala Harris. Ridership in South Orange County is not where the traffic is. It's north of Crown Valley. And I think you all know that, but somehow you're making it to the detriment of San Clemente, these types of decisions. The surveys that you rely on to conduct are 45 people representing hundreds of thousands of citizens in order to basically be the echo chamber to continue your projects. I believe a recent survey was claiming that the majority of Orange County residents would like a toll road. You're not being straightforward with anybody. They don't know that this toll road relies on non-compete clauses. They don't know that Caltrans and taxpayers have to finance all of the repairs and the maintenance. And in fact, due to the terrible fires, and I don't mean to exploit that, but I know for a fact that there's going to be repairs done, massive repairs to the 241, and I believe that that is now going to be at the taxpayer expense, taxpayers who cannot afford to use those roads. I don't use the toll road. My real estate taxes are about to go 2% up. I'm going to be paying $19,000 a year in real estate taxes alone. Equity in my home is my biggest asset for my two boys. I have a nebulizer next to my bed because of their asthma. I am not about to allow a toll road to fly over my house, right by their schools, into the high school.
Thank you for your comments. Kathy Dennehy, followed by Bridget Yates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I moved to Gavilan and Rancho Mission Viejo 2.5 years ago. And one of the things we were attracted to, and we were told that we would be living on a working ranch and promised a ranch lifestyle with hiking trails, mountain view parks, bike trails, just a beautiful quality of life. Now we find ourselves fighting to keep our homes in the Gavilan and Sendero Ranch neighborhoods of Rancho Mission Viejo from being in a traffic triangle. Antonio Parkway, which is a 6-lane road with speeds up to 60 miles per hour, borders the east side of Sendero and Gavilan. Ortega Highway borders the south. And Riata Glen, a new memory care center being built, is to the west, just replaced our forever orange groves. And now, to add to it, we find out that toll road options 9 and 18 are proposed literally in the last sliver of hillside between Ladera Ranch and Rancho Mission Viejo. Initial estimates place the road within 40 feet of the Del Webb homes in the 55-plus Gavilan area. This would decimate our property values, destroy our quality of life, which is simply unacceptable. Before purchasing our home, I visited the toll road site to ensure that Gavilan was not near any of the toll road expansion, and it wasn't. It was the 241 heading south. That seemed to be the issue at the time. I spoke with the people, the salespeople. They said, no, nothing going in there. That is federally protected land. Had anything else been disclosed to us that this could even come up, we would never have purchased in this area. I agree with the woman that spoke earlier about the stress this puts on you to even think that the hillside directly within feet of your home can become a freeway. Other concerns that are specific to the Gavilan 55-plus residents include, most of the residents are retired. This is the last home many of us will purchase, and I don't know, some of you aren't there yet, but it's almost all but impossible when you're, once you stop working to buy a home, unless you go in with all cash, which a lot of people don't have $1 million laying around plus money to live on. The hillside between Gavilan and Covenant Hills is a very narrow, steep, and shows sign of significant erosion. There are large flood basins below, which I have to believe would be impacted. It is also protected by recorded conservative easement deeds. We were told, and this is in writing, this is federally protected land. The TCA's stated goal, as we understand it, is to reduce north and south traffic. Jeez, okay, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bridget Yates, followed by Don DeFacebo. I've murdered that one, but you can correct me when you come up here, please. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Bridget Yates. I've been a resident of San Juan Capistrano for 14 years, and I'm also a real estate who specializes in selling San Juan. Our buyers come to San Juan because it's a historical town, and because of the open spaces that our residents have spent many years fighting to keep open, and because of the small town feel. This toll road would, as Kathy was saying, would decimate our home values. It would completely, it's completely opposed to why we moved to this area. It's very unique, it's historical, it needs to be protected. The flyover that's proposed with the 918 would just be a monstrosity. It would just, we have a beautiful section of our state that we need to preserve. And we live there because this is a place where we can call home and feel peaceful. And this would just cause noise, air pollution. It's also threatening multi-million-dollar communities, Stone Ridge and the Hunt Club. And if these property values come down, it's gonna trickle into the rest of the town. And there is nothing beneficial for our residents that we can see. I make phone calls weekly. I talk personally to our neighbors in Stone Ridge and the Hunt Club and in the acreage. Nobody wants this. Nobody's for it. People will probably move away. The other problem is realtors are not disclosing that these toll roads are being proposed, and lawsuits will happen once these new homeowners discover that these toll roads will be built and they were never informed. So it's a mess right now, and I really don't appreciate also the rivalry with San Clemente and San Juan Capistrano. There's no reason for us to come against each other because of this. We're basically one section of our coastline that's beautiful and has amazing history, and this is just causing division and problems, and I will continue to fight until this is, and do whatever I can to make sure this doesn't happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Don, will you please pronounce your last name for me, sir? I apologize. Followed by Eva O'Keefe.
My last name is DiFilippo.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. My name again is Don DiFilippo. I am a resident of San Clemente. I also live in the Reserve, and I've been in the real estate appraisal business for 35 years. As these people talk about loss in value, I have seen loss in value due to proximity to freeways and toll roads. I can say, based on my experience and my knowledge, is when the toll road comes into San Clemente, and if it does, it will be devastating for property values. When I mean devastating, I look at areas that I've appraised: Irvine, Rancho Santa Margarita, Aliso Viejo, and you can see factually, not hypothetical, factually, 20 to sometimes 30 to 40% difference in property values for homes that are in proximity to the toll road, as opposed to a similar home being not in proximity to the toll road. Why is it a devastating value? It's an optical situation where people have, it's a stigma for optically. It's the road noise, it's the transients, it's things like that that cause depreciation in value. Now, when I've done homes in these areas that are by the toll road, a lot of them were established after the toll roads were already there. So those prices were subjected to the location. What's different about San Clemente is we don't have that. We don't have that external obsolescence in our neighborhood. But now what you're going to do is you're going to throw it into our neighborhood. Now, there's no way you can forecast the exact impact on value. But if history shows, we're looking at 20 to 30%, if not more. And as Sandy said, there is an impact on properties right now. Why? It's a stigma. These people don't want to move there. Because if they move there, how do they know that down the road they're going to be impacted by the toll road and the depreciation in values? Now, when we talk about depreciation in values, if you were to look at a $1.2 million house, which is about the value of my house, if I'm looking at 30%, that's a hefty amount. And what is that going to cause? That's going to bring back a short sale phenomenon. People are losing their equity. So I throw this out to you, a question to all of you. If you lived in a neighborhood with your home and they're going to put a toll road in there and they're going to have a depreciation of 20 to 30% on your property values, would you vote that in? I question that. That's what the people of San Clemente are going through right now, people of San Juan, Ladera Ranch. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Eva O'Keefe, followed by Paul DeCapua.
All right, thank you so much. I know that, you guys are listening to us and not everything is fun, but I appreciate your time being here. I want to talk a little bit about the Pacific Research Group, and like people have said, the toll roads have always relied on overly optimistic studies, initially wrong by 420%. We have among the highest taxes in the country with greater price sensitivity. Myth. The toll roads are self-sufficient. No, Caltrans pays for the toll roads and the maintains and the repairs. They have received $150 million in public grants, developer fees, which is basically a fee on every home, every building new in Orange County, and total taxpayer assistance when this report was done in 2014, $1.7 billion. Estimated cost to build $800 million, reality $3 billion. If you extend, you're talking close to $5 billion. Okay, the debt, again, the way this works is actually it's almost like an interest only. Right now, you're looking pretty because you're not really paying down anything. It's a very small payment. However, the balloon payment is going to come, and you're going to have to increase ridership or increase tolls again. Total debt to mature is $11 billion, $11 billion, which is $215 million per mile, which accounts to 63% of all the total debt for the JPAs in Orange County. A lot of you guys call yourselves conservatives. This doesn't look too conservative to me. One of the board members here actually likes to write on common sense, and he said, I can't remember no one running to raise taxes or fees on taxpayers. A toll is a tax, double taxation. No viable alignments in South Orange County. I stand with Ladera, San Juan, Rancho Mission Viejo, everybody. It will decimate. A lot of these homes are built in unstable landslide prone land. In 2016, the CEO of the TCA said, La Pata route would devastate the Toledo community, bisecting this new neighborhood with incalculable human cost. What happened? Goes through approve of open space and already mitigated land. Like we've talked, we have many homes in escrow, and we have documented, we've been sending it to Ms. Bartlett here, that are falling out of escrow. And actually now they're suing the new buyers because the toll roads were not disclosed. It's a mess, like some people said. Okay, again, this has been sorely rejected by the Coastal Commission, is not gonna help greenhouse gases. The construction is gonna increase global warming. How about to Barcelona? From Barcelona to Oceanside, is that going to be widened? That is a true choke point. What is going to happen with that? You're actually bringing traffic, and that will create a national security issue. Scare tactic. So if we don't do anything, traffic will increase by 60%. That has been saying for 10 years. That is not the case. The border of San Clemente and San Diego, traffic actually decreased. You were projecting 220,000 trips. It's actually 130. Thank you very much. And why do we need a ham to drive the toll roads? Here I am presenting 8,000 signatures. As part of the record.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Paul, followed by Roger Butau.
Good morning. My name is Paul DeCapua, and I'm a resident of Rancho Mission Viejo. And this is going to be a very short one. I would simply like to ask a question. When will the responses to the questions and comments from the June 5th Mobility Forum be published on the website? I have made repeated requests via the website asking, when are we going to see anything? And nothing is forthcoming. So would anybody care to answer? When are we going to see any
Before the end of
responses?
the week, sir.
Pardon?
Before the end of the week.
Before the end of the week. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And I believe, yes, Roger, you'll be the last speaker during this public section, public comment section, and the remainder will be picked up in part 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And once again, my name is Roger Butow. It's pronounced Butow. It's German. The little umlauts over the U are not happy or smiley faces. For those that are familiar with my non-governmental organization, Clean Water Now, we're not really happy face people. I'm here today to introduce myself to the board. We do have a history. You'll have to go to your staff that were here 20 years ago. Let me amend that, as you were, about 17 years ago. We were responsible. At that point, Caltrans was operating a 73 and 241, wound up costing Caltrans nearly $20 million. We initiated, without legal counsel, unilaterally, with no other NGO, we initiated enforcement action called a cleanup and abatement order on those two toll roads, and took Caltrans about, I think it was close to 3 years before they remedied. And those of you that know what BMPs are, they had sediment transport and pollution, water pollution issues. I am a retired general contractor. That's part of what I bring to my new profession. I have been a professional environmental consultant analyst for well over 18 years now. And part of what I do is advise on land use and regulatory compliance. I will be transmitting to your staff, and hopefully they will forward it to you, a complete as possible, so you don't, in case you need insomnia material at night, a complete portfolio history of Clean Water Now, the enforcement activities we've been involved in. So you may not have heard of us, but you will be hearing of us. Part of the reason I'm here today is to let you know that we will be advising any and all like-minded individuals and organizations that are interested in this not one more inch movement. If Oso Bridge and Los Patrones, I guess you could look at them as your Rubicon. That, I guess, is basically your kind of point of no return. We don't know if that's going to wind up being a toll road section, but we can tell you this: San Juan Creek will be your river Styx. If you want to know where you're going to really have to stop, no matter what, I'm a Marine, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I certainly know how to take and hold ground. So we will consider Cow Camp Road. If we cannot stop you at Oso Parkway, we'll definitely be entrenched, and we'll stop you at San Juan Creek. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Madam Clerk, do we have a Foothill quorum at this point?
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much. We now go to Section 4, San Joaquin Hills Consent Calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no discussion on these items unless a board member requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for a separate action. Are there any San Joaquin Hills board members that want to pull any of the consent items? Seeing none, do I have a motion
So
for
moved.
approval? I have a
Second.
motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. We now move on to Section 5, Foothill Eastern Consent Calendar, items 2 through 6 and items 11 through 14. All matters, again, listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote of each board member for applicable agency items. There will be no discussion of these items unless board members request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Do I have any board members that would like to pull any consent items?
Move the calendar.
Excuse me, Chair, I'm sorry, 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay, any other items?
Move the balance.
I have a motion to move the balance. I heard a second. Okay, very good. All those in favor of moving the balance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Let's move on to item number 3, committee reports. Director Ward?
Specifically, I am pulling the committee report for the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Item number 2, public comment policy. I see that Mr. Kramen went to the committee with current rules governing public comments and electronic presentations. The committee voted to allow for a 24-hour period before someone could present, an electronic presentation. But I don't understand why the need to refine rules and develop more and come back to the committee at a later date. So that's what I think my question is why is this being delayed?
So we did implement the electronic rules, and those are posted on our website. The remainder of any public comment rules outside of the electronic presentation issue we're continuing to look at and we'll bring back to the committee.
Okay, so someone from the public could currently come with an electronic presentation at this time?
As we just saw.
Yes, I did miss it. I'm so used to looking at all of it at our meetings, I didn't even think about it. Okay, so that wasn't clear in this, and the committee report, it sounded like it was coming back. So that's all I was questioning is why the delay in time?
Yeah, so the electronics in process that's was approved. It's posted on the website and it was in effect today.
All right, I don't read our website, I read our reports, so, okay. So for that, I'll move that item, number 3.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, Director Ward.
This involves Mr. Lowe, is he here?
I'll handle for that. Dave's
Okay.
out on the road with the emergency
Okay.
repairs.
Another committee report on this stated that the satellite office in San Clemente, that in 2016, I believe, more employees were added and that they were handling calls. But I called there last month and I got a recording that that office does not handle calls and that you have to call the call center. So I'm just questioning that because I think they should be helping with calls. And my call was just as a director trying to help someone with a car that they had sold and were getting a late toll notice on, and all I needed was advice, and I couldn't reach this center. Okay. So maybe we need to correct the message that's on that phone.
It takes Samuel a while to unfold from that chair.
Sorry. I can definitely follow up with you after the meeting, Director, and find out the phone number. The direction is if you call our central customer service number, it will go to any of our locations, including San Clemente.
Okay, could
So it may
we,
just be the number you dialed.
is there a direct line to that satellite office where someone could call and just ask a question?
No, we disperse the calls to make sure we can manage the volume of calls we receive each day. So
Okay.
we disperse that across our 3 call centers.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to check on that anyone knew that there was a recording saying you can't call this office.
I will check.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'll move that item. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The item is moved. Okay, item number 6, board business items 15 through 21. You got it?
The first 2 are 15 and 16.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 15 and 16 will be discussed. So, Ms. Sherwood, did you want to kick us off?
Good morning. The audited financial statements for each agency for fiscal year 17 were provided in draft form to the Joint Finance and Investment Committee prior to the committee's meeting on September 27th. At that meeting, Chris Ray, who is the partner with KPMG, who is responsible for oversight of the agency's external audits, was in attendance, and he reviewed with the committee draft letters addressed to each of the boards, which outline certain required communications related to the audits. Mr. Ray is in attendance today again, and he's planning to provide the boards a brief summary of those same required communications with the intent that the draft letters will be issued to the boards after this meeting is concluded. After that, Mr. Ray and I will also be happy to respond to any questions that you may have about either the audits or the audited financial statements.
Thanks, Dave. As Dave indicated, my name is Chris Ray. I'm with KPMG, and we did communicate the required communications at the Finance and Investment Committee meeting, so I'll highlight those again today. At the end of each audit, the auditors are required to go through some communications, which include highlighting to the board that we did follow our professional standards in performing the audits, which are to obtain reasonable but rather than absolute assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements. We also considered internal controls as it related to designing our auditing procedures, and that was performed as part of our audit. When we met with the committee at the beginning of the audit, we communicated our audit plan. There were no significant changes that resulted from our initial communications. The accounting policies of both entities are actually disclosed in footnote 2 of both sets of financial statements, so no significant changes in the accounting policies this year. We highlight any significant matters as well. We talked to the committee about nothing happened within the San Joaquin Hills set of financial statements. There was a write-off in the Foothill financial statements related to the settlement of several legal matters related to the planned extension of the 241. $218 million of costs previously capitalized were written off, and that shows reflected as a decrease in your assets and an expense on the financial statements. There are qualitative aspects included in accounting policies to the extent that there is anything unusual or previously discussed with management related to those accounting policies. We highlight those to you, but that was not the case. There are estimates and judgments included in the financial statements. There's actually a footnote in your financials that talks about that there are estimates. So my responsibility is to communicate that to you. Some of the estimates related to your entities primarily relate to the pensions and the estimates that go into those actuarial studies, as well as the allocation of costs between the agencies. If there were any uncorrected misstatements identified as part of the audit, I'd let you know that, but there were none. There was one corrected misstatement for $120 million. It was a reclassification within the equity section of your financial statements related to the note between Foothill and San Joaquin. There were no significant difficulties encountered in performing the audits. There were no disagreements with management when we performed the audits. No significant issues that agreed to prior to the audit being engaged as your auditors. If we were aware that management consulted with another accounting firm, maybe they didn't like the opinion we gave, we would communicate that to you, but to my knowledge, that did not occur. There's a couple of things that are significant related to communication we get as part of an audit. One is an engagement letter, and at the end of the audit, it's a management representation letter. We got both of those as part of the audit. And then last but not least, just confirming that we are independent of the agencies.
Thank you. Do I have any board member questions on items 15 and 16? Can I ask for a motion?
I'll move for San Juan.
I'll move for Foothill.
Second.
Second.
Very good. All those in favor of San Juan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those approving Foothill Eastern signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Both
Thank you,
items
Mr. Chair.
passed. Thank you for your attendance. We move to item number 17, Mr. Carrier. Don't give me that deer in the headlight look. Just
Good morning. Rick Carrier, Director of Tolling and Customer Information Systems. The item before you is the contract for replacement customer service back office system.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Time's up. Next, we move to Please continue, sir. I
Thank you.
interrupted.
The back office system is the technology part of customer service. It's the servers, computers, software, databases, and interfaces that process and store transactions, account information, and payments. It's also the application that customer service representatives use to interact with our customers. The current system started as a transponder-based prepaid account system about 20 years ago. Over the years, that simple prepaid account system has been modified and enhanced to add violation processing, additional account types, more payment options, a website, a mobile app, external interfaces, and enhanced security features. TCA ended up with a great system built on the original foundation, but we are outgrowing that system. In order to take advantage of technology improvements in data storage and handling to increase efficiency, decrease cost, and provide better customer service, we need to change the current system. Staff issued a request for proposals in February looking for a long-term partner who can deliver a world-class system. The scope of the project is divided into 2 phases. The first phase will be to design, develop, install, test, and transition from the current system to a new system. This phase will take approximately 22 months and has a firm fixed price with payments based on milestones tied to measurable goals. Once the new system is in, we will transition to the maintenance phase, which is a time and materials contract based on fixed hourly rates. 35 firms downloaded the request for proposals from our procurement website. 7 firms attended the pre-proposal meeting, and we received 3 proposals. The evaluation panel consisted of 2 representatives from toll operations, 1 from the finance department, 1 from the information technology department, and we also had a representative from our sister agency, OCTA, who provided valuable insights from another agency's perspective. Each evaluator scored the proposals independently. The evaluation team used a best value approach that considered each firm's qualifications, experience, capability, commitment, proposed solution, proposed project team, schedule, and opportunities for innovation and price. The team evaluated and scored the written proposals, and based on those results, all 3 proposers were invited to provide a demonstration and answer questions. Then the evaluation team rescored the proposals based on a combination of the written proposals and the oral interviews and presentations. Each evaluator's points were used to determine that evaluator's ranking of the firms, with the highest scored firm receiving the number 1 ranking. The rankings of each evaluator were then combined to determine the overall highest ranked firm. Through both evaluation rounds, BRIC emerged as the clear choice and was ranked number 1 by all 5 evaluators. This slide is a summary of the previous slide. In the evaluator ranking totals column, lower is better. All 5 evaluators ranked BRIC number 1, hence their ranking total of 5. So why BRIC? Why did they emerge as the clear frontrunner? Simply put, BRIC was the most experienced and most knowledgeable proposer, and not just for TCA, but for tolling in general. BRIC knows TCA and BRIC knows tolling. The second ranked proposer, Toll Plus, created the system at OCTA, so they're experienced with transponder-based tolling in California. However, their image-based experience is limited to violation processing. TCA has several different prepaid and postpaid image-based accounts, and Toll Plus would have to come up to speed on those. The maintenance phase portion of the Toll Plus proposal lacked complete coverage of all the TCA requirements, which presented some cost risks. ETAN is a relative newcomer to the toll industry, and they are sort of the opposite of Toll Plus. Their experience is mainly as the billing system provider, sending invoices for image-based transactions. ETAN would have to come up to speed on transponder-based accounts and interoperability. The evaluation team also had some concerns over the commitment of the proposed team to the TCA project. ETAN may have been stretched a little thin to be able to take on the TCA project. Overall, Brick is considered the firm that provided the most experience and the best value at the lowest risk for TCA. Staff entered into 2 days of negotiations with Brick where we identified key cost drivers and found opportunities for savings. Samuel Johnson successfully negotiated a $300,000 reduction in the installation phase price and approximately $200,000 per year savings in the maintenance phase. The installation phase includes approximately $980,000 for software for software licenses and hardware, if Brick purchases that hardware and software. TCA has an opportunity to procure the hardware and software licenses at government rates, and the installation phase costs will be reduced by whatever savings TCA realizes. The contract, excuse me, the contract term includes the initial approximately 2-year installation phase and an 8-year maintenance phase. The maintenance phase starts at system acceptance. The contract includes extension options for up to an additional 7 years at TCA's sole discretion. The extension options are 1 3-year option and 2 2-year options. The firm fixed price for the installation phase is $5.5 million minus whatever cost savings TCA can achieve by directly purchasing the hardware and software. Installation phase payments are milestone-based. There are 28 separate milestones covering all areas of design, development, installation, and test. The maintenance phase cost is a not-to-exceed $24.6 million over 8 years and is based on fixed hourly rates that escalate 3% each year or at CPI, whichever is less. These labor rates are the same rates that TCA is paying today. And the last bullet is the option for TCA to achieve savings in the installation phase by directly procuring the hardware and software. With the board's approval today, Mr. Kramen would execute the contract and staff would immediately start to work with Brick to begin design and development of the new system. One of the first steps would be a series of design workshops that include Brick, TCA, and our operations contractor, Faneuil. As the design progresses, there will be multiple reviews and demonstrations to make sure that the system that is being developed meets the requirements and conforms to the design that was developed in the workshops. There's also an extensive testing regimen throughout the entire installation phase to verify performance and functionality. We expect the new system to go live in August of 2019. The Joint Toll Ops Committee unanimously approved this item at our September 27th meeting. This concludes my report with staff's recommendation that the boards authorize the CEO to execute this contract with Brick TPS for a combined not-to-exceed cost of $30.1 million. The second recommendation is to authorize the CEO to execute contracts with various software and hardware vendors to achieve cost savings through the direct purchase of software and equipment. And the last recommendation is the authorization for the CEO to execute amendments up to 10% for contingencies. The San Joaquin Hills recommendations are identical to the Foothill Eastern recommendations. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Spitzer.
Thank you very much. I think it's your slide 6. I don't know who's controlling that. Talk about footnote 3 in the top. It looks like they gave us a bid at 5.8, but it's caveated with footnote 3, which says that's the number prior to final negotiations. So it sounds like you had 2 days, Dr. Johnson, of final negotiations? Yes, correct. And then, so what's the number now?
The number now is 5.6.
I understand you made the point in your verbal presentation that it went down. My question is footnote 3 trying to say that they're caveating the total cost, or there could be anticipated numbers coming through?
No, that was the cost that was on the proposals, and that's what we put on this slide. Through the negotiations, the cost on the contract is what the cost that came out of the negotiation.
All right. The total is 30 million over the original, the base, plus the 7 or 8 year extensions, or only the
No,
base?
the 30.1 million is for the installation phase, 5.6 million, and then 24 million for the 8 years.
Right, so right now, the authorization, those 1 year extensions would have to come back to us, correct?
That is correct.
All right. The contingency of 10% is 3 million.
Yep.
That's a pretty big number without further board approval. What's the rationale? I know we typically do 10%, but this is a big contract. 3 million is a big change order without further board approval. What's the rationale in this context to having 10% without further board approval?
So contingency is for things we can't anticipate.
No, I'm aware of that. I'm just trying to get my arms around the number. If you have a change order up to 3 million without further board approval, that's a big number without coming back and telling us there's an issue. And that's not a lot of oversight. And my next questions are gonna get into the, IT and everything else. I mean, these are the kind of contracts that a lot of us have experienced that sometimes get out of control. Like, there's a lot of promises on IT and they don't necessarily manifest themselves. So I'm just wondering if on the 10%, Mr. Kramen, if you would need to, if you could make an agreement with us that you have the 10%, but you need to come back, if you're hitting a high number, you should probably come back and explain what's going on.
Yeah, so two parts of it is, this is asking for the contract authorization, and then, and it's not 8 one-year options. I believe it's a 4-4 or 4-3-2.
It's a 3-2-2.
3-2-2, as far as the authorizations. And I would just suggest that we attach the contingencies to the 3-3-2 as opposed to the full 8 years or whatever.
The 10% contingency?
Yeah, so that we don't do it as like because the 3 million is the contingency for the full implementation plus the 8 years.
Yes.
And so
Oh,
why don't,
you're pointing out, he's asking for it all now. You're agreeing.
I'm just
you
saying,
would
why
do it
don't
for
we
phase
do
one.
it with those subsequent authorizations?
So then we would have to see it, is your point.
Well, we'll see, yeah, 3, 3, and 2,
Yeah.
we would bring it back, yeah.
All right. And then lastly, can you address the entrepreneurial aspects of the contract in terms of the development of the development of the software and the ability of the contractor to be able to sell this? I know that was discussed in committee pretty extensively, but it's not really well delineated in the staff report. And could you just explain the thought process and what our contract is gonna allow the vendor to be able to do in terms of selling this? I guess I want you to phrase it. I don't want to put it in my words because I don't know if I understand it. That's why I'm asking the question.
So BRIC will own the software that they develop for the TCA, and TCA will have a perpetual license to use, modify the software regardless of whether BRIC is still our contractor or not. But the software belongs to BRIC.
And my understanding is this is a software that's still, I wouldn't necessarily call it beta, but it's being developed. Is that fair?
That is correct. This software will be developed for the TCA.
Right, but as they're learning and developing and exploring on our dime, because we're paying for it obviously up to 30 mil, we are then allowing them to utilize all of that on us to go out and sell this to other people, correct? Do I understand that correctly?
That is correct. And if they.
So my next question is, what skin do we have in the game?
Right, so if BRIC sells this software to another agency and that other agency has pays BRIC for enhancements or improvements, TCA will get those enhancements or improvements at no cost.
So, George, from a legal point of view, can you explain what you've negotiated in the contract in that regard, please?
I did not negotiate the contract, so.
Who did that for us?
Was it Thomas? Okay, maybe you can.
Yeah, so Director, what Mr. Carey highlighted is part, it was a big part of our negotiations, and both parties recognized that there was definitely future opportunities in the system that BRIC would develop for TCA. It's actually the identical model to the system Mr. Carey highlighted at the beginning, our current system that we developed 20 years ago. It grew on to be one of the best systems in the tolling industry. It is used by a lot of people. So in negotiating our price and those future rights, that was a key part of our discussion. So what we've done in our negotiations or our agreements is that not only will TCA have the rights to continually modify the software for any reason if we decide not to choose RIC. So we, in a sense, become the owner of our version of the software and can continue to modify it. And in addition to that, if BRIC introduces enhancements anywhere else in the world, TCA gets those enhancements for free.
Assuming we want them.
Yes,
But Mr.
correct.
Johnson, I asked Mr. Joseph for a reason. Because I want to understand, I want our lawyers to tell this board on the record that they have reviewed the contract and that everything you're saying, I don't doubt what you're saying. But I also know that what a layperson might think is in a contract is not necessarily in a contract. And I'm asking for our legal counsel who reviewed this. Look, ask the Supervisor Bartlett and I and probably every other board member. Every IT contract I've ever dealt with at any level of government has always been screwed up. Always. I've never seen an IT company deliver. You just don't see it. At the state level, federal, they all promise the world and you don't get it. And we've been litigation we've been in some very heavy duty litigation.
So Thomas.
So I'm asking, what legal counsel can tell us that they reviewed it?
So Thomas Stover from the Nossman firm, who is their IT expert, was with us at every step of the contract development as well as the negotiations. And he was also totally involved at ground zero with us in terms of our IT or our IP issues with 3M companies. So I know that my review of it, and Samuel, you weigh in on your review, we felt very comfortable that we involved them early and in great depth to make sure we didn't
Mr.
have
Graven, I'm not
a
doubting,
repeat.
I'm not doubting it. My question's real simple. Mr. Joseph is Nossaman's, he's our counsel and he is a senior partner in Nossaman. He just answered, and originally he wasn't aware that it was reviewed, at least by him personally. And what you're saying is the counsel who did this on our behalf is not here, right? Otherwise, they probably would have come forward.
Correct.
Okay, so today, at least, we can't have any counsel who reviewed this document make any representations as a lawyer what is in that agreement. Is that accurate? I don't want a executive's summary. I'm asking, do we have counsel here to explain this to us or not?
Well, Director Spitzer, I can certainly assure you that my partner, Thomas Dover, reviewed this matter and was involved in the negotiations. I was not personally involved in those negotiations. I have high confidence in his ability to negotiate and draft an agreement that will include and reflect the provisions that were discussed there. I can certainly represent that to this agency, but
No,
I was not
appreciate that,
personally
Mr. Joseph.
involved.
I understand. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Director Bartlett?
Thank you, Chairman. I think what Director Spitzer is alluding to, when you work on software development, the intellectual property rights are extremely important. And so we are paying for development of software. When you say that we're going to be eligible to create enhancements on our own, are we getting then a royalty-free license for source code? Are we getting object code? Or what are we getting per the contract?
We do get the source code, so we will have ownership and possession of the source code.
Okay. And that's the source code then is on a royalty-free basis?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I think the contracts then, through the intellectual property attorneys at Nossaman, just need to make sure that they button things down so that it's very clear in the language with regard to intellectual property, because I'm assuming that BRIC is going to be filing for, with the Patent and Trademark Office for the software rights. Is that correct? To protect their software rights in development? Do we have anyone from BRIC here?
Mr. Bill Duffy is the CEO, president of BRIC. Bill, you gonna patent it?
And Director, sorry, just to clarify your previous question about the royalty-free aspect, there is a one-time license fee that is negotiated in part of the price that TCA is paying.
Okay, because I'm assuming that since they are creating an intellectual property product for the TCA that we're going to use, at this point, it's just TCA and not other clients. Is that correct?
At this point, it is just for TCA.
Okay, and because we're actually paying for, as an agency, we're paying for the development of software, we're getting price breaks. So we're not the normal retail client that's, ABC company out there that you might license to down the road. We would be getting a price break because we're actually paying for the development. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then with regard to the intellectual property rights for the software, is BRIC going to be filing any potential filings with the Patent and Trademark Office to protect your creativity and your rights?
We're unlikely to patent it because it's significantly similar. The features are defined by the agency. There might be unique ways in which we're approaching it, but that tends to be more of a problem. We'll tend to copyright the software to make theft and reuse of it inappropriate and pursuable. And so essentially trademarking, but the patents themselves kind of, they run down to Raytheon patenting the use of OCR information. Well, of course, if I recognize a plate, I'm going to use it, but so we can do those kind of patents, but we've tended to avoid that.
Okay.
Because that helps us in court, but not actually for any
Okay,
other
and with the
purpose.
development by BRIC of the existing software, which was really developed through, I think it was 3M years ago, and then we'll be modifying that, and TCL will be getting the source code. Is BRIC then going to, we don't know at this point what specific modifications you're going to do to the actual software itself, but is BRIC going to indemnify TCA in the event we get called out by some third-party company out there that says, hey, you're violating our patent?
Yeah, that's part of the IP protection. One of the problems you get if TCA is the entire owner of the IP and I have no rights to it, then you've indemnified me by the nature of it. So I've written it, given it to you, and I have no, I can't really say what happens to it. So one of the things so while I'll maintain IP, that also actually implies indemnification. I have to indemnify the agency because this is, when you say these letters are produced improperly and you're sued for that, but it's actually my system that's performing that. That is BRIC's system.
I understand it's your system, but TCA is going to be eligible to receive the source code,
Yes.
which is the highest level for intellectual property. And I just want to make sure that whatever modifications you're doing to the source code, since TCA will be the recipient of source code, that TCA is indemnified in case some third party comes after, either TCA or comes after BRIC, saying you have violated somebody else's intellectual property rights. Because we don't have control over the development. We're just the recipient of the source code, per se.
Exactly. So that's the explicit model that.
Okay.
The indemnification would drop down to BRIC for the source provided to the agency, even though the agency can maintain it outside of the existence of the contract.
Okay, and we just need to make sure that all of this is spelled out in the contract, and I'm sure that the attorney at Nossaman is taking a look at everything and making sure that the TCA is appropriately protected.
Yes, this was also part of Thomas Dover's review, the
Okay.
indemnification. All IP matters, Thomas Dover from Nossaman reviewed those aspects. And is working
Okay.
closely with us to ensure TCA has adequate protections.
Okay, well, we do need to move forward with new software. We deal with this at the county too, where we've got old antiquated, programs that are on mainframes and refrigerated rooms, and we've got to move to new hardware and new software. This is going to be a much more scalable product that we'll have, and it's going to really take us into the next phase for the future. So I'm very comfortable with moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Schwartz?
Yes, and I want to agree with Director Spitzer. In my 40 years of being in business and in my involvement with a variety of different public entities and businesses that I've gone through development of software, I have never seen a development issue go through smoothly. I have never seen a development go through on time, and I have never seen a development go through on budget. So those are a number of issues that I see as involved in this. And where I wanted to throw out as something just, it seems to be a problem, is we are fully funding for the development of the software. We are paying a licensing fee for that software. So we're paying the same thing if we had hired a group, put them in the back office and had them build it. And then let's say that group went ahead and started selling it to other places, showing that it works here. And yet we're getting nothing but maybe if they do an upgrade, which I would think if they upgrade the software, we should already be on the list of being able to take advantage of those upgrades. So I don't understand why we didn't work out some type of royalty to come back, to the TCA for actually helping develop and pay for the software if it's being marketed to other agencies. So that's the only thing I just, as a businessman, it doesn't kind of make sense when we're funding all this and then we're giving them a platform that they can generate more revenues, but it doesn't soften the blow on our costs.
So Director, to respond to your what I viewed as two key points. First, around the risk, I would agree with you. I've done several implementation projects involving software. I won't say they all run perfectly. You do run into challenges, but the model that TCA uses in terms of a fixed fee, milestone payment-based contract is the best way for the agency to manage those risks. So if the contractor has underestimated the hours they'll take or how long it will take, TCA does not pay any cost increase for those. We only pay when they reach the milestone, and whatever it takes for them to get to that milestone, Mr. Duffy bears that risk. So that's how we approach the risk piece. So we feel confident that we have good controls in place to manage that. As Rick Carrier mentioned, we have 28 milestone payments over a 22-month time frame. So as you can imagine, with that type of structure, we are managing their work pretty closely and only paying when we get specific results on less than a monthly basis. In terms of the royalty aspect, this is a discussion I've been involved in with several public agencies as we go through these types of procurements. The reality is whether we were starting somewhat from scratch, as we are with BRIC, or we were starting with another company, every time an agency goes to implement one of these systems, the software company providing it, they make enhancements that they then turn around and sell to someone else. Now, I've tried in the past and have had contracts where we try and exercise royalty options. The challenge I had is I'm doing a contract with an international company, and how am I going to monitor and manage a product that they've sold to someone on the other side of the world? It becomes a management challenge. Then the other aspect I would reference is to Director Bartlett's question about indemnity. The minute we start accepting royalty payments for future sales of the product, we are now part owner of that product, and we are exposed to any issues that go along with ownership. So if we are part owner and BRIC sells that software somewhere else and it doesn't work, TCA is now dragged into the litigation. This was a key aspect of our discussions with Thomas Dover from Nossaman, and he advised us that, you know, the route we've taken with the perpetual right, so we can always modify the software and that we get the upgrades, that's a better course. And also, as you can see in the prices that Mr. Carrier has up on the screen, that, you know, when you look at the high end versus the low end, we did save about $3 million. And part of that is the value in this approach that we're working with BRIC, that we are paying for the development to create a product that they will then go ahead and sell. So there is some financial consideration, there's a risk consideration, and then there's the realities of what TCA can actually monitor and enforce.
Director Miniger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did discuss this item in our committee in great details. For the public record, I just wanted to make sure that the contractor shall be providing a system that would be in compliance of Federal Highway Administration, that would be open system and open architecture. Therefore, TCA as an organization would have full right to receive all the source codes and all their details, so that they don't come back to us for cost overruns that Director Spitzer was elaborating on.
We do have those protections in place, Director. As I mentioned, it's a milestone-based contract. And in terms of the tools that BRIC is using, they have committed to using open source tools. And the most important part of that is that should we decide not to use BRIC in the future, we will be able to find other firms or people who can modify the software and it not be a proprietary thing that they have to learn about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Spitzer, followed by Director Marriott.
Mr. Duffy, you used the word implied indemnification, that there's an implication of indemnification. So I just did a quick Google search. that term doesn't even exist under California law. It's called equitable. We don't have implied in California anymore. So,
I'm not a
let me
lawyer.
finish. Well, no, but that's my point. You threw out a term, you're.
I'm currently being sued, for example, under an indemnification from a contract. And the agency knows about that kind of specifically. You have a very hard time, I've been doing software for a very long time. I have a very hard time writing any application, any system, and keeping my name on it, and not having to indemnify the users of that software.
Yeah, again.
It just
it's
doesn't
not-
happen, so I can say that, yeah, there may not be a legal term for it, but I also know I will be in any of those suits.
Well,
and our
so will
company
we.
be.
So will we, because we're a deep pocket. And so, to Mr. Johnson's point, I don't see, there is a distinction clearly between if you accept royalties, right? If you're making money off the sale of the software, you're definitely going to be in the pipeline. But think about this. We are still beneficiaries of the development of the software because we're getting price breaks. And that's now acknowledged on a public record. So whether you get hard cash through royalty sales, or the benefit inures to you through some financial savings, which is the inverse of having to dole out cash, you're still a financial beneficiary. You're in the liability pipeline. So let me just summarize quickly my concern. I'm all in on the fact we have to develop software for this agency, no problem. We don't get any benefit by allowing them to develop it and sell it, right? We're not getting any, well, we are, they're arguing we'll get some benefit. But what I'm not convinced as I'm sitting here right now, that allowing this scheme sounds nefarious, this business relationship to occur, as I sit here, I'm not sure how much exposure the TCA has. And because we don't have counsel here to answer the question, I'm personally not comfortable in this moment. Are you the CEO, sir? Are you the CEO?
Yes.
You're the CEO. When the CEO throws out a term on the record, implied indemnification, when he now has acknowledged he doesn't know what that is, and I just looked it up quickly, and it doesn't appear to exist in California law anymore. It's called equitable indemnification. I think there's some pretty hard questions that at least we should have our counsel answer from Nossaman before voting, but I'm a no vote, at least right now, because I can't get comfortable under the circumstances, but, I just tell you that, Mr. Sachs, Dr. Sachs.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph, any comment?
Well, I cannot address the specific questions because I did not personally negotiate the agreement. If it's helpful to have Mr. Dover here to answer those questions and make a presentation, we'd be happy to do so.
Thank you. Director Marriott, followed by Director Bartlett.
Thank you, Chair. My questions, I think, are a little bit more general, designed to gain a little bit more peace of mind. I didn't really see the pipeline develop with this issue. I am impressed on the more technical questions with the level of expertise. And obviously, a lot of work has been done, and a lot of work has been done in the committee. And it doesn't even look like it was a fair fight. I mean, it looks like it doesn't look like it was that much of a competition. It looks like we have a clear winner, so wonderful. First question speaks to that a little bit, though, because I did notice in the report where Brick was the firm that outlined the system 20 years ago. So, and I mean, 20 years ago, it would seem to me major upgrade. That feels about right. I don't know the business model here that well. I'm a relatively new board member, but so I guess one question I have with regard to our experience with Brick the first time, we've hit something here in the road of development that can't be resolved effectively with a modification like the type we're discussing that others would have the ability to use and to build on. Are we convinced as a staff that that we really are at that point, that it's a complete rework that has to happen? And if we look back 20 years ago, I mean, toll roads have been around as long as I've been alive, 50-plus years. I'm going to get too specific, but so, there's track record there, and computers being taken to a new level, if you will, certainly began in the 80s and 90s. So, and this unfolded in about 97. Is there any hesitation, or could anything have been looked at differently where, at this juncture, we could be just doing a modification? Is there any level of disappointment, I guess I'm asking, with the work 20 years ago and Brick's ability to have foresight in how the business would develop in the future?
So the 20 years that we've been operating this system is a testament to the work that Brick has done. Like I stated, this started off as just a small prepaid accounting system, and we've blown it up. And the talent at Brick has enabled that. We're at the point now where if we want to take advantage of advances in storage, in new ways of moving data around, different ways of handling data, the basic architecture of this system is 15, 20 years old. We can't just do more add-ons, more modifications. We need to replace that underlying architecture, and that's what this whole procurement was about. We've pretty much reached the limits of what we can do with our existing architecture. If we want to move forward, we need to change that architecture.
Thank you. So it's truly archaic for our needs going forward. It meets that test.
For our needs moving forward, that is correct.
Okay. Second question is in that realm as well. So this will be the second time now, 20 years later, same contractor doing a major development. Any thought about or concern about whether we get too dependent on this particular firm?
This particular firm is the one most qualified to do this work. So yes, we are dependent on them if we want the best of breed to do this work.
So I guess I would also offer, Director, that similar to the questions Director Bartlett asked and Director Minigar asked. So we've made sure that they're using open source code. So we do feel that they're the best firm for the job. But in terms of that future dependency, we have flexibility in being able to get another firm. Will they be as talented, more talented, less talented? We don't know that, and my crystal ball is not that good, but we would have that capability. So it's not like we would be solely dependent that if we start this system and Brick builds it, that we're tied to Brick for the next 20 years.
So in my layman's way of looking at it, the way the foundation is laid or the blueprint, another qualified firm like a Toll Plus could step in if for whatever reason that were necessary 5 years from now to do the next enhancement or to take it to the next level.
Correct.
That's helpful, thank you. Quick question, the way I view this, we can either be a guinea pig, this is lack of a better way to put it, or be a future enhancer, or needs-based enhancer. Any discussion or thought around how advantaged we are by being the guinea pig? By us driving the development, being one of the firms that simply pays for the enhancement someday because the toll road in Oregon somewhere did this similar kind of an upgrade with Brick or somebody else?
Yeah, I think the verbiage we use is slightly different on that, Director. We do consider TCA to be a thought leader. And this was kind of confirmed through the procurement process as we went through it. The other proposers, they were highlighting features in their system and saying these are cutting edge, we got the latest, greatest. And when we looked at it, our comments back to them is, well, we've had those features for years now. We're already doing that stuff. So even though our system is 20 years old and, and we're limited by the foundation it's built on, we've actually been a thought leader, and we're one of the innovators in the tolling industry worldwide. So our expectation is that we would continue that through this effort. And instead of starting with a firm that would be playing catch up to get us to where we are today, we would already, with Brick, we're starting from where we are today and moving forward.
It's an excellent answer. Can you give me a ballpark in percentage terms, the financial difference? Real ballpark. So it's 4 years from now, and we're asking for the system in Oregon, but to be enhanced 3 different ways. Is that 90% cheaper than spending $30 million, or is it 40% cheaper?
So I would break that into 2 pieces, Director. So part of that $30 million, as Rick Carrier mentioned, the majority of it is for ongoing maintenance. We would have that cost regardless of what system we chose. Okay. So the $5.5 million that we're paying for implementation, in terms of licensing, I guess the best example would be our proposals that we receive for other systems, and those are more costly. So I think we have negotiated a very fair price for what we're doing. And I'm pretty confident, because Mr. Duffy's been through this before, and the system he built for TCA ended up being owned by 3M. And so I think 3M and that brand name speaks to the value they saw in that product. And it was sold to several agencies worldwide. So I think the value we're getting today for a system that I'm sure Mr. Duffy's going to charge folks a lot more for down the road, I think the value's there.
Last question. In the corporate world, so we've got the debt upgrade. We reissued with some cheaper rates, but we have a major project potentially on tap. I mean, we're not awash in cash, right? So in the corporate world, when things are a little bit lean, we say, let's spend on necessary, but not nice. So is this necessary?
If we want to continue the path we're on, and one of the things that TCA is very good at, we're constantly introducing innovations. We roll out updates to our software weekly. If we want to be able to continue that, we do need to do the upgrade.
Thank you.
So I'm going to, I understand. Thank you. I understand. Thank you. I'm going to take Chairman's privilege here and ask Mr. Kramer to make an announcement during this process about the attorney is coming in today.
No,
No?
we tried to contact Mr. Dover. He's not available today. We could certainly, I think some good questions have been asked related to the IP, and in hindsight, probably should have had him here today. We can certainly have him here at the November board meeting, if that's the board's desire.
Okay.
It would be nice to maybe get through all of the discussion today, and then the IP issues, we can be prepared to deal with those directly next month.
Right, okay. I misunderstood his availability, so I'll now go to Director Bartlett, followed by Director Piotr.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So this goes to ownership. When you're developing software or you're developing a vehicle, who owns the end product? TCA is going to own nothing. We're going to get a royalty-free license. So you have to take a look at title and rights, and that stays with BRIC. None of that transfers to TCA. So directors, to give you an analogy, if you've got two race car drivers and race car driver A goes to BMW and says, I want you to develop a BMW race car for me. And BMW develops a race car for driver A. Okay, but BMW retains all the ownership and rights of the development of that race car. Race car A, driver A just drives the vehicle, but then driver B wants a race car too. So he goes to BMW and says, gee, I'd like to get that same race car. And driver B crashes the car. Well, driver B doesn't have any legal rights to go after driver A just because driver A went to BMW to say develop this vehicle. Driver B has to go to BMW. So the same analogy applies to TCA and to BRIC and to third parties. So to me, it's really simple, and I don't know if we need to get the IP attorney in here to clarify things. I would like to hear more input from some of the other directors, but it really, when you talk about intellectual property and proprietary software, it boils down to title and rights and ownership, and we don't have any of that at the agency. So if we're indemnified through our contracts with an awesome attorney, I think we're adequately protected. We don't have any exposure to third parties out there.
I would agree, Director, and I think that discussion that the board is having, that's going to apply regardless of who we pick. So I don't think it changes the consideration you have before you today. If the board were to want, it may be a memo from Nossaman, from the IP attorney, providing assurances that these points are going to be addressed. I think they already are adequately addressed, but he can highlight what's been addressed before Mr. Kramer would execute the contract to ensure those provisions are there. Because we want those provisions no matter who we selected.
Yep, good point. Right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Piotr,
Thank you,
followed by
Mr. Chair.
Director Ward.
At the Toll Ops Committee, we had a lot of discussion on this, as you saw from some of the minutes. Director Bartlett, you're right. What we had as far as the licensing, we don't have the ownership in it, and in fact, we're not even being recompensed by having the license or the free upgrades, because it can just be part of our license. Again, technically, you'll have to work that out from a legal standpoint. Interestingly enough, some of the discussion that we had at the committee, which hasn't really been brought up today, is that we have 3 proposers, but there were a dozen or 15 firms originally interested. And part of the questions that the committee brought up is, gee, how come we didn't get all 15 proposals? How come we only got 3? And obviously, we want the biggest exposure with the most ingenuity and the most insight to come in and develop this. And I think, first of all, it's not all custom software. It does use the Oracle database. And obviously, Oracle is always going to be updating and maintaining and trying to stay cutting edge with, in effect, the basic foundation of what they're building. And in effect, this software is the customization to that database for what our needs are, which are substantial, and it is, you can see, a huge amount of money. But Samuel, can you kind of tell the committee or the board how you contacted some of these firms that didn't submit and why they didn't submit, and why you still feel that Bricks is and these 3 are representative of the top of the industry and the cutting edge?
Right. So, Director, I'll just provide a brief commentary that getting 3 proposals for a procurement of this nature is not uncommon. 3 is fairly good. But Mr. Kier actually did that direct outreach to other firms who hadn't proposed to get feedback on why they hadn't, and I'll let him share that.
So I contacted 7 firms that did not submit a proposal, and the reasons for not submitting a proposal broke down into 3 areas. 3 of the firms didn't propose because we split operations out from the system. A lot of these systems are, when you get the system, they're also going to do the operations. They're going to put the CSRs in the seats to answer the phones. That's where the money is. So when we split that out, they made the business decision that it wasn't worth their time and effort just to do the system part, since they weren't going to have the operations part. The second reason, 2 of the proposals I contacted had ongoing contractual issues that would have prevented them from submitting a proposal on the TCA project. And the last 2, there were timing and resource constraints. They were bidding on other projects, and they didn't think they had the resources to dedicate to this project.
So that last point is just an outcome of the economy. We're taking this opportunity to procure a new system, and there's several tolling agencies around the world also procuring new tolling systems, and there's a limited supplier market. So firms are picking and choosing, and while TCA, we're a great agency and we are a decent size, we are not necessarily one of the biggest out there. So I believe New York MTA is going through their procurement right now, and they collect about $1 billion a year in revenue. So some firms view that as a bigger fish to go after.
And the curious part is, like you say, a lot of what we're doing is cutting edge, and a lot of other tolling agencies haven't instituted these, or they have just relatively recently instituted a lot of these.
Very true.
Like image reading and things like that we've got. So we were looking at that BRIC is not only qualified because they've been doing it for us for a long time. They're the heir from 3M and are familiar with who we are, what we are, and what we need. They are using a foundation that is a off-the-shelf product. So they're not like a lot of other government agencies that have gotten in trouble with IT. They start from zero. We can do better than Oracle. We'll put our own system together. We are starting with a basic engine that's good, and it should be able to evolve with time. Who knows whose crystal ball is good in an IT situation. And they've also got a proven track record on the actual issues and ways that we've been dealing with our customers, our express, our one-time tolls, which are all cutting edge in the industry. So they're already familiar with the outcome and the expected percentages. They are developing a new system, but the outcome is they're already being measured today on their process. So that's why it was unanimous, I think, at the committee on recommending BRIC. And whether we need to continue this in November to make sure the legal side is answered or not, from an operational or contract concept side, I'm ready to support the contract today.
Me too.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Director Ward.
Oh, and I'd be glad to make that a motion if the chair.
And I'll second it.
Approve it as staff recommended with verification that the legal contract will be confirmed as far as our questions today.
Yeah, and I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion, Director Ward.
Samuel, I would just like to make the comment that now that we see how much it's costing us for our new system, I question whether we are charging enough to San Bernardino County to do their billing. So is there a time where that could come back to us? I seem to remember like a 2-year contract.
So the actual structure the board approved gave us the flexibility, and we reached agreement with San Bernardino that based on TCA's budget each year, we have formulas and a cost model laid out to recalculate the costs. So I think we've set up a structure where we don't necessarily have to come back to the board. We can definitely share that as part of the budget information, but the cost that we charge to San Bernardino per this structure should always be fair.
Fair to us. That's what I
Yes.
think it should be fair first. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear. That was a consideration that I'm worried about when I see how much this costs. And we're definitely helping them. They don't have to get up and running and bill for that. So
Correct.
just hear my concern, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate that clarification.
Thank you, Director Kruth.
Excuse me. I'll be in support of the motion. I appreciate all the comments that were made today, questions that were raised, and having more detailed information. In particular, I appreciate the work of Toll Ops Committee and knowing that such good support from the committee, and understanding now that prior to executing the agreement, that Mr. Cramen and others will have a clear picture following advice of legal counsel.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments from the board, Mr. Joseph, can this be one motion or two?
Needs to be 2.
Needs to be two, so I'll hear a motion for, I think we have a motion. Were you for San Juan? Did we, and a second for San Juan?
Second. Oh, Christie.
Okay, we have a second. Let's work on San Juan right now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. One opposition. Thank you. We now move to,
Foothill, move Foothill.
And I'll second Foothill.
that's the fastest I've seen you move in a month, sir. That was terrific. Do we have a second for Foothill? I'm sorry. The speed is unbelievable around my ears. All those in favor of the motion for Foothill signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. One nay. Thank you very much. We now,
Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen, for your work. Ms. Tellis, would you lead us through item number 18?
Good morning, my name is Lisa Tejas, and I am presenting a recommendation from the staff to approve 3 contracts to provide on-call research and data analysis services. A procurement process has just been completed to determine the best qualified firms to conduct consumer research to support operations, marketing, and communications activities. The requested statement of qualifications was issued on the 26th of July with the intent to award several contracts and issue tasks for individual research projects as needed. The tasks that we've identified in the fiscal year 18 budget are the following. A customer satisfaction survey that would survey current account holders to set a benchmark for customer satisfaction and provide guidance for ongoing and future programs to meet customer needs. We're also looking into focus groups and customer experience research to inform communications planning for the transition to 6C protocol sticker tags that will be used for electronic toll collection. We are also interested in looking at rebranding the Express account. As more Express lanes are built in the region, we think the name change is needed because Express accounts can only be used on TCA toll roads and not on Southern California's Express lanes. This research will help us understand the customer as well as test names for this. The last one is Communications and Marketing Department is going to be requesting consulting support for data mining and interpreting data to help communications initiatives and to support the department through the upcoming Business Intelligent project that will be coming to the board later this year. So 9 firms responded to the request for statement of qualifications. The evaluation team consisted of 3 members of the Communications Department, a member of the Finance Department, and a member of the Operations Department. The top 3 firms, after review of written statements of qualifications, were invited for interviews. You see the scoring here. The top 3 firms, as I mentioned, were shortlisted and interviewed. Staff is recommending that all 3 of these firms be awarded on-call contracts to provide a number of research services over the coming years. Red Hill Group, it was ranked number 1 both in the written proposal as well as the interviews. Was founded, it's based in Irvine, and they were founded in 1988. It's a full-service research firm with in-house call center that conduct phone interviews right here locally. Red Hill has conducted numerous transportation research projects, including high-occupancy vehicle and high-occupancy toll studies for LA Metro and Sandag, and has conducted attitude and opinion studies for LA Metro, Metrolink, and OCTA. The second firm, Congencia, is based in Schaumburg, Illinois, and it has 15 years of analytical consulting experience with 8 years specifically in the tolling industry. Congencia has a clear understanding of the toll road customer and has conducted a variety of analytical studies for tolling agencies in the United States and Canada, including LA Metro, the North Texas Toll Authority, Kansas Turnpike, and the State Road and Toll Authority in Atlanta. Ewald and Wasserman, the third firm we'd like to contract for on-call services, was founded by Katrin Ewald and Lisa Wasserman in 2008 and based in San Francisco. Both the founders were interviewed and are intimately involved in their company. Their experience includes qualitative and quantitative data collection, analysis, and reporting, and the firm has conducted traffic and transit research for the CHP, Caltrans, Metropolitan Transit Authority, and also research for the California Energy Commission. We believe that these firms complement the type of research that is needed and that we're interested in conducting. This item was presented to the Communications and Marketing Committee on September 28th, and the committee voted to forward the item to the Board of Directors for approval. Therefore, staff is making the following recommendation. Approve the selection of Red Hill Group, Inc., Congencia. I can't see that with my glasses, and I can't see Congencia and Ewald Wasserman Research Consultants as firms to provide on-call research and data analysis consulting services, and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to enter into agreements with each of these firms for a term of 3 years with 2 one-year extension options. As I mentioned earlier, research tasks will return to the Board of Directors for approval and budget authorization. So at this point, there's no budget authorization identified for these contracts. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Director Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I understand the customer service aspect of the research and analysis, but with regard to research and analysis, specifically relating to the implementation of the 6C technology, what scope of work would be required of these firms?
What we're anticipating, we're working on the scope of work now. What we're anticipating is a couple things. One is how to explain messaging and how to explain the new sticker tag to customers as they make the change. The other question is understanding how people actually place the sticker onto their vehicle and how they do it. We have information from other parts of the country that explaining that clearly is imperative to make sure that the stickers work.
We need a firm to do this.
Well, I think that we were looking at focus groups to test some of the to actually watch how people react. Are people going to want to switch to a tag immediately? Will it be something we roll out over time? There's a number of questions that we are interested in getting customer feedback on related to the transition.
So the 6C implementation is also going to involve a relook at our account types and those type of things and how we interface with our customers. So focus groups and those type of things will be important to making those decisions.
Okay, and I would hope that one of the things that that they would look at during the research and analysis for the 6C technology is, right now you've got transponders. So you might have a family of 4, and they've got 2 transponders that they rotate between 4 vehicles. With the 6C technology, you pretty much have to put that sticker in your windshield. So a family of 4 then would need 4 stickers. So pursuant to the research and analysis, I would hope that with your focus groups, we can figure out how best to accommodate that paradigm shift from the 2 transponders to the 4 stickers, and then also the ability, when you've got the switchable, we have switchable transponders right now, and I'm assuming that we'll have switchable stickers, but at some point in time with technology to figure out how all that is going to work with the traveling public as well, because you've got the transponder and it's easy when it's switchable with a transponder, but a sticker, a little teeny sticker on your windshield that may be switchable, that is a little more difficult for when you're driving through the toll booth. So hopefully you'll incorporate all of that into the research and analysis for the 6C scope of work.
Those are exactly the type of questions we're talking about in staff, and we feel like we need to talk to our customers about those same questions.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Director Caruth?
Ms. Tejas, are there other toll road agencies around the country who are ahead of us in terms of developing the 6C sticker technology?
Yes, there are. There's actually 4 that are utilizing the technology, these sticker tags. Washington State on their toll roads in Seattle. Denver, E470 uses them, as well as in Atlanta, the CERTA Toll Authority, and we are in conversations with them.
Okay, so Red Hill Group, then that would be one of their objectives, would be to contact those other agencies and try it and learn how well they have executed their plan.
That certainly could
Switch
be
from
one of the
transponder to
tasks.
6C.
That could be one of the tasks, is secondary research, collecting secondary research.
It could be, or it will be.
At this point, I don't have the task finalized. These will all come back to the board. The actual tasks will be coming back to the board, and they'll be coming through the committees before we award. So the tasks are being developed, and we will discuss the task with the committees.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to take a bold move here and understand that we need 2 motions. See how bold that was? Can I have a motion on item 18
Move
from
for San Joaquin?
San Joaquin?
Second for San Joaquin?
Thank you. And all those in favor, San Joaquin?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Can I have a motion second for Foothill?
Move staff recommendation,
Second.
Foothill.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 19. And they're popping up to lead us.
Yes.
Ms. Daly, please.
Good morning. I'm Barbie Daly, Director of Government and Legislative Affairs for the Transportation Corridor Agencies. The item before you is the selection of TCA's representative and alternate to the Orange County Council of Governments Board of Directors. OCOG has an 18-member board of directors and was established to serve as a sub-regional organization to the Southern California Association of Governments, representing Orange County on regional planning activities. OCOG's mission is to assemble jurisdictions throughout the county to address land use, energy, mobility, air quality, and water issues to ensure Orange County is represented in regional decision-making. The TCA's network of toll roads are regionally significant facilities, and as such, the agencies are a member of OCOG. Former board member Bert Hack served as TCA's appointment on OCOG, and with his retirement from the Laguna Woods City Council and the San Joaquin Hills Board, the boards now need to select a replacement to be our appointee on their board of directors, as well as an alternate. The selection of TCA's representative and alternate falls within the purview of the boards of directors, who may appoint a board member for both positions. The only caveat is the individual cannot be a current member of OCOG representing another entity. Listed in my staff report and on the screen in front of you are the board members that are currently serving in some capacity with the OCOG. This item was brought to the Executive Committee for discussion, and at this time, staff recommends that the boards entertain nominations for TCA's representative and alternate to OCOG's Board of Directors.
Thank you. Do I have any nominations? Director Caruth?
If he's willing, I'd recommend Scott Voights.
And I'd second that.
No, it's a joint item.
It's a joint item.
Not to be
Thank you.
confused with Prop 64 marijuana legislation.
We were very confused about that.
I would move we close the nominations.
There's a motion for closure. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we
Mazel
need
tov.
another.
And we need an alternate as well.
Yeah.
So
Chairman.
do I have nominations for an alternate? Crickets.
I'll nominate Lucille Quiring for alternate.
Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a nomination, we have a second. Any discussion? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Mazel tov to you as well. Thank you very much. We move now to item 20. Juliet, are you, you need to stand on an egg crate or something.
Good morning.
Mr. Chair? I have a question for you. The rest of the business on the agenda is totally Foothill related, with the exception of public comments. I was thinking that if there are no public comments on anything dealing with San Joaquin, which the South Connection has no relation, that we might adjourn the San Joaquin Board at this time.
We can't, we have closed session items.
There is nothing on closed session
No,
for
that's
San Joaquin
Foothill.
either.
Then it's your punishment that you have to stay here.
Don't you want to listen to an hour of public
I second
comment?
that.
Second the punishment or the adjournment?
Second Piotr.
So I would love to make a motion to adjourn the San Joaquin Hills Board at this time. And there's,
I'll second that.
Chair, can we vote on that?
I don't know.
it's non-discussable, but it's not,
Mr. Joseph, do you have any advice whatsoever to the chair?
I think you ought to vote on it.
Wow, thanks. Okay. And we pay for that.
Is it just San Joaquin who was voting, or is it everybody?
just San Joaquin.
No,
Sorry, you don't get to vote.
You must have a hot date.
Foothill will make the motion to punish you.
Someday it'll be vice versa, and then we'll be sorry.
Call for the vote,
well,
Mr.
being a
Chair.
board not ashamed to set precedent,
Yes, we're not afraid to set precedent.
I just said that. All those in favor of excusing those folks who are unwilling to sit and learn to the remainder of the process on San Joaquin signify by saying, I wish to be out of here.
I wish to be out of there.
Are there any that say, no, no, please let me stay? See y'all later.
Thank you.
You are dismissed quietly while the rest of the board conducts its business.
Mr. Chair, on item 20.
Yes, sir.
I had two issues, one with AECom and one with Group Delta. Under the Levine Act, I have resolved those issues by sending reimbursements. I've notified the clerk and notified council, I think. But anyway, it's taken care of, so I can remain and participate.
Thank you very much. Juliet, would you please proceed now to the, those who want to hear what you have to say?
Yes. Good morning. I'm Juliet Sue, Corridor Manager in Engineering Design. This item is for an amendment to the 24191 Express Connector Final Design Contract with WKE. The proposed amendment is for additional final design services to implement design refinements being recommended by WKE that provide significant value to the project through reduced construction cost, reduced construction risk, and improved traffic operations. The recommended design refinements include structures foundation modifications and improvements to traffic operations through this area that result in reduced traffic queue and and queue jumping.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, I'm
Could I-
sorry, Mr. Murphy.
Could I sorry to interrupt,
I
but
was
if I could
advised.
ask just for a point of order. I'm going to suggest this item be continued. There was a rather robust discussion at the joint ad hoc, and some of that was captured here and some of it wasn't. And I don't know that there have been any additional meetings of the groups involved, but I think it's premature otherwise to discuss any further enhancements to this particular item. And I welcome comments from my colleagues on the board here.
Yes, Mr. Bartlett.
And I'll second that motion. I know we did have a very robust discussion. These are excellent firms that can do the work. We have no doubt about
Right.
the qualification of the firms, stellar firms. But just looking at the project itself, we now have RCTC's 8 miles online, and we have 10 miles of the OCTA 91 Express Lane. So OCTA 10 miles, RCTC 8 miles, and we've got TCA's 24191 connecting into all of this. So it's now a connected corridor, and we're gathering new information now that RCTC is online. We need to have all the stakeholders meet and work together, coordinating and collaborating together with OCTA, TCA, RCTC, and also Caltrans to make sure that everyone is in sync, kind of on the same page as the project moves forward. So I'm in complete agreement to continue this item until that specific stakeholder meeting takes place, and then come back to the committee level, vet it through committee, and then bring it to the board.
Thank you, Director Shea.
Yes, thank you. I just think there's maybe a miscommunication with this item. I wanted to turn to our CEO because we bifurcated that, as you remember, and in fact, the two of you voted to move this section forward. Am I misunderstanding that? Because I think we broke it apart, and the motion here says that it was led by Director Bartlett, seconded by Murphy, that we would vote and we support this project moving forward, but not that other larger section of the discussion we had. So am I misunderstanding what we're hearing? Because we did set aside a certain discussion in relationship to future meetings you need to have, but this was supported by the committee.
I think your recollection is correct. I think this request is, and the item has been modified per the discussions in the committee. I think the request here was to continue the item as it sits today to the next board meeting to allow maybe some more time for those communications to take place in terms of the broader issue as opposed to some of that specific discussion from the committee. So I would be fine with this item being continued to the November board meeting because we do have meetings and ongoing discussions with our partners on this project. And so bringing this back next month will allow, I think, what Director Murphy is looking for.
Okay, well, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that we did vote this component from the committee to move forward, and the other portion was set aside for this future meeting. So if that's what you're suggesting, that we should just continue all of this again? Because we did have a pretty robust discussion.
Just to clarify, though, some of the discussion was captured here, some of it not. And the bottom philosophical piece is, unless we have the meetings of all the stakeholders and get some agreement in place,
Okay.
I'm not interested in writing a check for another dollar on this project.
Okay.
Because you can't, it's a little like buying when you're in high school and you buy a tuxedo because you just know you're gonna have a date to the prom, and your prom date says no, right? It's the same thing here. We
Never
have to have
happened.
all the committees. Sorry, I didn't mean
Not
to bear.
familiar with that.
I didn't mean to bear my broken childhood, but the bottom line is, I just think we got the cart before the
Did
horse.
you ever break a race car?
It's been discussed multiple times prior, so I won't belabor it, but I just
Thank
think
you,
we gotta
Director
have the
Murphy.
things in order.
And I think we can have more discussion on this item because we do have a 24191 ad hoc meeting, and that might be the place to have that discussion.
Yes,
Director Caruth?
just clarification for Mr. Grayman. However, any reluctance here, doesn't that make it more difficult for us to have some kind of joint discussion with the other partners in this endeavor if we?
Don't mistake my reluctance to move forward with the reluctance to the importance of the project. I just have a firm belief that it's good to have the parties at least discussing and pulling the rope the same direction.
I can't say it any better than the director whose city is most impacted by not having this project.
You could say reluctance 3 times in a sentence. Director
Could you
Spitzer?
do that for us?
So I just want to know, Director Murphy, if you designed a BMW to go to the prom,
Well, first of all, it would probably be either a Toyota or a Ford, because we don't have a BMW dealership in the city of Orange.
yeah, Dave doesn't
although
own a
they're close by.
BMW. I have more of a procedural question, and it's still not reconciled between what Director Shea said and the comments of Director Murphy, and it's more about process that I would like to understand. My understanding is it went to committee and it was not voted to move this forward, this item to approve these vendors today to do the study. I just need clarification before I ask my next question. So how did this get here?
Okay, so we're not approving any vendors today. This is a change order to a contract.
It's more work, though.
Yeah,
My
so
bad.
the discussion, there was two elements of work that were brought to the committee and had originally been included in the draft of this item. And there was a piece of the work that the discussion was to remove that piece of work. It had to do with 6th lane on the 91 as an option to this project. So all of that was stripped out of this item. And the motion that was then approved by the committee was to strip that work out of the item and then so that was items like B and D, and then items A and C, and I may have that all wrong, but there were two elements of the motion that were stripped out, and the remainder of it was voted on to bring it forward to the board for consideration.
Okay, so that's my question. I'm clear that studying a 6th lane as an alternative to the Direct Connect was not recommended to move forward. So I'm asking you, Mr. Kramer, the item that is on the agenda today, I see a summary, it says, authorize the CEO to exercise Amendment 1 to WKE for additional final design consulting services in support of the 24191 Express Connector project. So what is that specifically? It's not the 6th lane study, correct?
Correct. It's value engineering improvements to a lot of the structure and structure foundations. It's also looking at improving, dealing with the queuing and the queue jumping issue and trying to put into a more permanent solution to that as part of this project.
All right. The reason I think this is important to clarify is because there's some sentiment from the OCTA side that despite the recommendation of the committee that this was put on the agenda basically without committee approval. But I think the clarification is important. The item to actually do the study on the 6th lane as an alternative is not in front of us. And the only thing, Director Shea, thank you for clarifying that, was the additional work on actually Direct Connect, right? And so the recommendation is postpone that all. But I think making sure it's clarified so that the OCT and others understand that wasn't like kind of a runaround, because I walked in today under a different impression. I'm glad it got clarified. I think to this point, I know we have a committee meeting in a few minutes. It's really important to make sure that as we continue to do action items, that we're communicating clearly, because I don't think that was well understood today. So I appreciate, Director Shea, that you pausing on that, because that differentiation is a very important but subtle point that needs to be very clear for the record. So thank you very much. Thank you for explaining that to me, Mr. Kramer.
Right. I would like to express one concern about what I just heard, and that's that OCTA staff attended that committee meeting and was present for the discussion. So it really disturbs me that misinformation is now being provided to board members.
Then let me clarify. I know Kia was there. This is exactly what I think we're trying to not have happen. So I'm not going to represent that I got a phone call and OCTA said, hey, watch out because TCA staff agendized something that was not recommended by the committee. I'm not representing that at all. What I'm saying is I think there was some confusion about this item being here and somehow whether it was commingled with that. And fair to you and everybody else, that got completely clarified for the record. So I hope I made sure, Mr. Kramer, no. I didn't hear that. No one represented that to me. The committee meeting, I think there was, going into the committee meeting, there was some concerns. Why are you studying the 6 lanes? And I think that came out of confusion from our ad hoc with our joint leadership meeting. But I think that's been clarified since. So please don't have that as your takeaway. And again, I think that those of us who wear the OCTA hat are very interested in continuing to have this dialogue, to Director Cruz's point, and making sure we continue the dialogue and we have an open communication, we get everybody's questions answered. So, Mr. Kramer, if I implied that, I wanted to correct that. That's not a fair impression.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Director Ward?
I just wanted to ask, I think Mr. Murphy moved it to continue, and I would like to second that. If there wasn't a second. Was there a second?
We had a
Thank
second.
you. We had such a long discussion, I just wanted to make sure.
Been first and seconded.
I'm sorry?
Been first and seconded.
Thank you. Mr. Okog represented. All right, so all those in favor, signify by saying aye. All those opposed, thank you very much. Moving forward to item number 21, Mr. Lowe is not here, that's right. He's with our Nosserman attorney in Barbados, looking at IP and BMWs.
Oh,
and
good morning.
Trying to get a
Controversial, but I may be wrong.
This is not
I
controversial.
made a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I have some discussion.
Director Ward.
So let me ask a couple questions. What did we approve at the last meeting? I believe we approved $20,000 to do a study to see if this interchange impacted our system.
Different.
And I'm curious why that didn't come back in this report.
That was the Trabuco 133 interchange at the last meeting.
Totally different project we're working
Okay.
on in Irvine.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was confused. I thought this interchange was actually on the 133 for a while.
241.
This is totally away from there, totally
Okay.
different project.
So, all right, so my next question would be, and I think I would direct this to Director Shea, City of Irvine, is why are we tying this to the project initiation process for 241 extension? Because I think this is really important to your city. Why not just do it now? Do you have,
I really don't have that specific background, that's why we depend on our
Yeah.
staff, so maybe
Could you,
you can.
I don't think I understood
well,
the question.
explain why this is being tied to the Caltrans project initiation process, which is going to be completed in June? Because this seems like that's what the staff report says, is that this project is tied to that. And so my question is why, and why not this, why would this board just not move on it if
Yeah,
it's that
this is-
important?
If I can clarify, the terminology of project initiation is just a standard Caltrans terminology to start and program a project. So the project initiation phase we're doing for the South County traffic relief effort is completely separate from the project initiation for this Jeffrey Road interchange. But we have to complete this project initiation phase for Jeffrey Road to comply with Caltrans requirements. Two completely separate project initiation documents.
Okay, so when you say it's going to mirror it, you just mean it's going to be the same process, but not inside that process, a duplicate process?
No, it's not gonna be a duplicate process. We just have to, again, in order to comply with Caltrans requirements, in order to develop the scope, fee, purpose, and need, we have to complete a project initiation document for the Jeffrey Road interchange. I'm not sure why the two were melded together, and hopefully if they weren't, but no, they're completely separate from each other.
Okay, so this is a separate project initiation document,
Yes.
not tied to the 241 extension?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. It was not clear
Okay.
in here, and I wanted to know that because I didn't think Irvine should be held up for that. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's my only comment on it then.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Are there any other comments on the item? Mr. Kramer, do you have anything you want to say in your defense? Thank you.
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. We move now to public comments, continuation, part 2. Oh, no. Okay. All right, so first up is Karen Hofer, I believe. She's not here, thank you. Next is Liz Corder. Not here, thank you. Desiree Ledoux. Not here, thank you. Okay, Desiree, sorry. Come on up, followed by Kathleen Shield, I believe, and Jennifer Powers. And Jennifer Powers will speak on behalf. So as soon as the clerk's back and she can start the timer, you may begin.
Okay.
Before you start her comment, there is stuff that each of you can have a copy of that reference to what she's talking about.
I'm sorry, can you go ahead? I have to
Okay. Ready now? Yes? Okay. I'm speaking on behalf of another fire wife. My husband is an LAFD firefighter who lives in San Clemente. My girlfriend, her husband and her moved to San Clemente a year and a half ago. She put an incredible amount of time and effort into choosing exactly where she wanted to live. Her decision to settle in San Clemente came after much deliberation on exactly what would be the best environment to raise 2 young boys. She wanted to raise her children in a beach town that reminded them of the town where they grew up, before overdevelopment and commercialism took it. We chose our house based on the proximity to hiking trails, literally just a short stroll out your front door, yet close enough to the beach, with a view of the ocean and the beautiful city below. When we first saw the home, we'd eventually fall in love with what we pointed up to on the top surrounding hill. We asked our realtor, if anything, what would ever be built there. He assured us that the surrounding area was mitigation land, what would always remain open and wild for all of us to enjoy. Despite the stretch financially, we knew we had found the home where we would happily and safely raise both our children, and one day with our retirement. A little under a year, we were hit with the news that not only does the TCA want to push a toll road through San Clemente, but the hiking pass my children think of as an extension to our backyard, and the Route 14 would be visible from both our front and backyards. Our homes are literally just a few hundred yards from the hiking path the route would travel. Her older son has medical issues stemming from an illness when he was a few months old. We simply can't take this risk, breathing in the toxic fumes from a toll road so close to our home. We put everything we had into purchasing our home and are devastated at the thought of losing equity and uprooting our family again. My husband is an extremely hardworking man, a captain for the Orange County Fire Department where he has worked for over 20 years. We both worked so hard to move to San Clemente from Riverside County to get away from the debilitating and constant traffic issues in Corona. We love that San Clemente was a completely built out city and would never become a Huntington Beach or a Corona. Plus, there was such little traffic, even during rush hour. It was and still is our dream town. We lived through terrible traffic and the effects of the toll lanes had on our surface streets and our freeways in Corona. We avoided the toll roads at all costs because of the terrible design where it ends onto a natural bottleneck of the 91 freeway. As she types this, her husband has been away from her family for over 53 hours, working tirelessly to prevent the Canyon 2 fire from reaching our homes in the city of Orange and Tustin. He has spent the last night sleeping on a cot, in a wet sleeping bag, in a parking lot. He hasn't showered, he's barely eaten, and hasn't had much sleep. He and his crew are doing everything in their power to make sure that the cities and homes are not destroyed. Some of those homes may belong to some of you. It's ironic that the same people whose homes and cities he's risking his life to save are some of the same people trying to desperately destroy our homes in our city. Shouldn't our government officials, cities, and state employees work together to save our cities and our homes through new and innovative solutions and traffic issues? The solutions are out there, but the TCA must be willing to adapt those times and change the business model. Thank you.
Very much. Jennifer Flowers, and then we'll get back on track with Mr. Velisis.
Good morning, Jennifer Powers, and my husband's name is not Austin. My name is Jennifer Powers, and I'm with the Coalition to Stop 9 and 18, and I'm here speaking on behalf of Catherine Scheel, who's one of our coalition members. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me time allotment to express some of my concerns about the proposed 9 and 18, the Beltway option. My name is Catherine Scheel, and I unofficially represent the approximately 14 neighborhoods in San Juan Capistrano that will be adversely affected or impacted by the proposed Beltway. I'm part of the Coalition to Stop 9 and 18, representing San Juan, Mission Viejo, Ladera Ranch, and Rancho Mission Viejo. Today, I would like to address the flyover connector that would be required to connect the 73 to the proposed 9. I understand that all of the proposed toll road options will be built to TCA specifications. These specifications involve several lanes in each direction, plus an empty corridor in the middle to accommodate a future transportation mode, such as train, light rail, bus corridor, or some other form of transportation. Although the connector from the northbound 73 exiting from the Interstate 5 would not need to be built to these specifications, since the 5 does not include the corridor for light rail and the like, the southbound connector from the 73 would require these multiple lanes for the additional corridor. If the connector did not include all of these elements, the stated goal of the Beltway, which is to fully connect the 73 to the 241, would fail. Although I am not an engineer but a lawyer by profession, I cannot comprehend the engineering challenges that would be required to construct such a mammoth connector. However, it does not require engineering knowledge to understand that constructing this massive flyover connector would require the demolition of scores of homes and businesses and perhaps schools to achieve entrance into the reserve. The visual, noise, and pollution impacts over the flyover connector and the utter destruction of existing neighborhoods with the extensive use of eminent domain and the exorbitant costs of construction simply cannot be reasonably mitigated. All of this destruction would be for a beltway that would minimally improve north-south mobility. The beltway should not advance to the environmental impact review phase since it fails the purpose and need test. It negatively affects cannot possibly be justified. These challenges, legal, cost, and engineering to building it are just too enormous to overcome. We as a coalition, I urge you to vote no on the Beltway. Thank you very much for your time and listening.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lascivas, I've murdered your name, haven't I? I apologize.
Felicities, very good.
Oh, yeah. Felicity.
Well, thanks for being here, directors. My name's Pondo Felicities. I'm a pastor in San Clemente, and I'm a CEO of Community Outreach Alliance, TLC Ministries, and a preschool in San Clemente. Kathleen, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it, being a representative. I'm sad that Mr. Schwartz had to leave, stating that he's heard it all before, and my time is very valuable. I'm missing 3 meetings and being here. I was born in San Clemente. I've lived there all my life, 58 years. They didn't have a hospital, so they shipped me to Oceanside. My mom has lived in San Clemente for 75 years. So she's probably the oldest living person. The first Miss San Clemente was my mom. This town is very dear to me, and growth has been an obstacle for us just in expanding in communities. You've heard so many people speak against this, yet you seem to be on a road of your own to destroy our way of life and dump a toll road right in the middle of our little town. This is not acceptable. You also you should know that I'm an advocate for the youth in San Clemente for 35 years, a tennis coach at San Clemente High School, and for 13 years now, I've been coaching high school kids directly. I have an alumni in my family. All 4 of us, my 2 children, my wife, and I graduated from San Clemente High School. My brothers did too. Coming down Pico is not a place in San Clemente at all. Seriously over a high school is not an option. San Clemente really isn't an option because it will destroy what we've lived there for, born there, for 75 years with my mom. And you guys don't live there, so very few of you live there, so it's just not an option. And I cleaned the tennis courts last week because we're prepping the courts for our match this week. And I blowed 1 court off, and I couldn't believe the dust and the dirt and the grime and the particles. I've never seen that before, but they're doing construction on the 5. And I'll tell you, I posted that, went viral, a couple thousand people saw that. I was shocked a few months ago when I saw a TCA report 2006 that would plan the 2 buildings that I occupy as an eminent domain possibility. I was shocked. I've known them since 2003, never heard about it. No one discussed that with me, no communication at all. How can we trust this board and construction companies if they can't tell the owners, FAM's right next to us, we're down street, my school's on 1 building, 150 students, 1,000 people a week we serve in San Clemente. I posted a video of the eminent domain possibility, and 5,000 people viewed that video in 24 hours. So as a community representative here today, I'm telling you, the people that follow me and COA and Community Outreach, it's a nonprofit that helps kids get off drugs, prevention from the littlest ones all the way up through high school. That's going to be severely attacked by losing that building and by Pico coming down San Clemente. As a pastor, I'm here today, I'm praying for you to make a good decision. I'm not preaching at you, but as a higher authority sent by God as a pastor, I'm telling you it's not a healthy thing for our city. And I appreciate your time, and Kathleen, again, I want to thank you so much as a city council representing us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sherry Clifford, followed by Dr. Bill.
Good morning. Dear elected officials and general public and administrators,
I'm Sherry Clifford, graduated with a dual bachelor's degree from Penn State University in Foreign Service and Latin American Studies with a paralegal certification. Additionally, I have a master's certification in public contracting from George Washington, a graduate certificate in public administration from Sacramento. Why is this important to you and the toll road? Although accustomed to speaking to thousands professionally, this is personal, this is passionate, and this is emotional. Those in the coalition to stop the toll road have been characterized as NIMBYs, crazy, uneducated, and uninformed. I'm here to demonstrate that that's not true. I believe you, as elected officials, have been elected to practice what I call the 4 C's of politics: character, commitment, and courage. But in politics today, the last C, civility, has been lost and caused those 3 to suffer as well. I have previously shared in written communication to each of you an important message and study by Joel Gross called The 5 Whys Folklore. The study of root cause analysis, repeatedly asking why in order to drill down from a higher level symptoms to the underlying root cause of a problem. His analysis references the Washington Monument and the issues that associated with its deterioration, such as harsh chemicals were used to clean it. Why? Because the bird droppings. Why? Because birds feasted on the spiders. Why? Because spiders feasted on the grass and the gnats. Because gnats were attracted to the lights at dusk, and because the monument was the first to turn on the lights. So the solution, simple, right? Turn the lights on 30 minutes later, but was it? What does all of this have to do with the TCA and the No Toll Road Coalition? Well, it seems to me the TCA, Caltrans, and several supporting cities have taken the simplified method of root cause analysis for traffic mobility and characterized, and our charter are restricted to do so. The TCA has identified the problem. We have a mobility issue. Why? Because the TCA says we can't build a road through San Mateo Creek to connect to the 241 and I-5. Why? Because we signed a settlement agreement that prevents us from building through the significant watershed, historical Native American burial grounds, and previously designated mitigated lands of Don O'Neill. Why? Because the so-called NIMBY environmentalists, the city of San Clemente, and the people in South County across the state and even around the world protested the paving over this valued land. Why? Because we couldn't keep it a secret and were forced by way of lawsuits to be transparent and follow the heart of the people. Why? Because we need to build a road to make money because our master plan for 35 years says we have to build a connection between 241 to the I-5 or we will default on our bonds, especially since we have done so. I ask you to do deep cause root analysis for our community. I'm here as a passionate mom, family member, and community member.
Thank you
and
very
I'm
much.
begging you to do the
Thank you.
deeper root cause analysis.
Thank you. Time is up. Thank you. Dr. Veal, followed by Linda Freiling. Okay, and your name, please?
Not sure what name you named. My name's Elizabeth Corder, and I'm going before Dr. Veely.
Okay.
We switched people. Okay. Your recent spokesperson, Peter Bastone, in his efforts to scare the uninformed into supporting your toll road, has made numerous incorrect statements about the need for a toll road as a potential alternative to the I-5 and getting from San Clemente to Mission Hospital ER. This is in addition to his even more egregious denial of potential health-related concerns of your toll road that Dr. Veely will speak of. Mr. Bastone has stated there is no alternative to the I-5 to get from San Clemente to Mission Hospital ER. Apparently, he's unaware that in August 2016, La Pata Gap Connector opened, providing a direct route to Crown Valley. The fact is, there's no real traffic problem on the I-5 between San Clemente and Mission Hospital ER that would necessitate a toll road as an alternative route. We've taken daily Google Maps screenshots of the routes to and from Mission Hospital in the San Clemente City Hall for 31 days, morning, evening, and rush hours, and in the early afternoon. We missed getting a screenshot on a few occasions, but you will see from the samples you've been given, it's a very representative sample. We also occasionally changed our recording times a little to see if our sample times were a good reflection of morning, afternoon, and PM commute times, and found that they seemed to be. There's a large amount of information summarized on the cover page of the screenshots, but in regards to the commute from City Hall in San Clemente to the Mission Hospital ER, the average commute times to the ER were 16.23 minutes in the morning, 16.61 in the afternoon, and 15.59 minutes during evening rush hour. Overall, the average commute time was 16.13 minutes. That's compared to the fastest commute times of 14 minutes that we found at any time, including some random checks in the middle of the night. The longest commute to the ER were 22 and 23 minutes and occurred when there were morning motor vehicle accidents on the freeway. But even with those numbers included, the average morning commute to the hospital was only 2.23 minutes longer than the minimum. The average of all commutes to the ER was only 2.13 minutes longer than the 14-minute minimum commute time. It should be kept in mind that during these 31 days, there was construction on northbound lanes, Avenida Pico, during most weekdays, and this was the biggest consistent northbound slowdown area during our survey. It should also be pointed out that Crown Valley will not even reach the 241, as an emergency vehicle would have to get off at Oso Parkway, travel a good distance back to Mission Hospital ER. We've also been told there will be no access to the 241 in San Clemente except at its junction with the I-5. Given all of this, it's hard to see how this route would provide a quicker path to the hospital except under exceptional circumstances that could occur on freeways in any city. Should every city have a toll road as a so-called safety valve against such occurrences? It would certainly be far more cost-effective and faster than a toll road if San Clemente were to build a heliport as an alternative to overland transport to the ER. UCLA professor Michael Manville, in what he calls Transportation Economics 101, has written that we've known for a very long time that simply adding capacity doesn't reduce traffic congestion. Those of us here from the toll road at risk areas are the ones paying attention. We know the sad history and malfeasance of the TCA. If you had a good plan, an agency with your incredible debt would not be spending our tax dollars on an absurdly expensive PR campaign to try to lure the uninformed and special interests to your side. Please be aware that we, the informed, we are increasing in numbers and will fight you with everything we've got to stop any extension of the toll road. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Veely, followed by Linda Friley.
Okay, I'm Steve Veely, a 30-year resident of San Clemente and a pediatrician in this area. Peter Bestone, with his repeated cynical disinformation, is proving he has no expertise about potential health concerns of building this toll road. Perhaps his most incorrect statement is that it's, quote, patently false, unquote, that a toll road could negatively affect the health of the community based on, quote, numerous studies that have shown that a decrease in traffic congestion leads to a decrease in dangerous pollutant emissions, unquote. Some argue that the toll road would actually increase I-5 congestion in San Clemente, but Mr. Bastone completely ignores the fact that these dangerous emissions would certainly increase along the toll road route where it would be constantly spewing dangerous pollutants in areas where residents go about their daily lives. Studies have consistently demonstrated that people living, working, and going to school near roads with heavy traffic have an increased risk of adverse health effects associated with exposure to mobile source pollution. A study with controls by a multi-center project found that compared to distances beyond 642 feet, adults living within 160 feet of high traffic areas had a 63% increased risk of developing atherosclerosis, a cause of heart attacks and strokes. Even at 600 feet away, there was an 8% increased risk. A study published in Environmental Research found that living for decades near busy roads increased cognitive decline as women age. Mothers living near major roadways are more likely to experience miscarriage or give birth to low birth weight and premature babies. A study by USC Keck Med School that Control for Confounding Variables found that children were twice as likely to develop autism if born to mothers living within 1,000 feet of a major highway during pregnancy. Exposure to these pollutants during the early months of life has also been linked to cognitive developmental delay. Children whose lungs and brains are still developing are especially vulnerable to vehicle emissions. European studies have shown increased respiratory problems and school absences in children who live or go to school within 330 feet of a busy roadway. Even high-quality air filters capture only some of the harmful particles in traffic emissions and do not keep out toxic exhaust gases. Air quality experts warn that relying on air filtration and other mitigation measures like sound walls and vegetation barriers will not solve the health threat of residing or going to school along major roadways. They advise that home schools and daycare should not be built within 500 feet of major roadways. In 2003, a California public health law was passed prohibiting building new schools within 500 feet of major highways and traffic corridors. Health experts suggest at least a mile from major roadways. A proposed San Clemente route of the toll road extension would pass very close to several schools, including San Clemente High School, where it may pass directly over a part of the school's athletic fields. Your secretly negotiated realignment of the toll road via Oso Bridge and Los Patrones Parkway will put the toll road within 100 feet of the Tesoro campus. How dare anybody call us NIMBYs when it is our spaces, open spaces, our vistas, our home values, and our and our children's health and quality of life that stand to suffer if your toll road is built.
Thank you very much. Linda Freiling, followed by Karen Hofer.
Good morning. My name is Linda Freiling. I have lived in San Juan Capistrano with my family for the past 24 years in the Stone Ridge neighborhood, which is North San Juan Capistrano, between Avery and the J. Sarah exit. I'm opposed to the option 9 and 18, which would obliterate our neighborhood. We, myself and 6 neighbors, have spent $1 million to repair a landslide in the adjacent field to our home, and this toll road option would destroy this repair and our beautiful neighborhood. And I want you all to look into my eyes, because I've been recently diagnosed with asthma-induced COPD, and having the toll road next to my home is going to hasten my death. My death. You're looking at a person that will be affected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Karen Hofer, followed by Liz Corder. Okay, Liz Corder, are you here? Oh, that was the, I'm sorry. Very good. So we've got, I'm sorry? No, we pretty much got it. And Mark McGuire, and our last is Zola Tolosa. There's a lot of printing classes need to be taken. They're closed. They're closed. It's closed. We'll close it now. I'll take this one out of the kindness of Dr. Shea's heart. Please go ahead, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman Sachs and members of the board. My name is Mark McGuire. I'm a San Clemente resident, but I do want to say for the record that the people in San Clemente oppose all of the proposed toll road extensions, the ones that go through San Juan, the beltway that would connect. We're opposed to all of those connections, and for the same reason, that those roads were never planned, that they would disturb established communities and would not be effective enough to justify the terrible impacts that they would have to those communities. So we're opposed to all of those. I didn't have any prepared remarks for today, but I just wanted to emphasize one point with the time that I had, which is that the TCA's mission was to build, the toll roads in the locations the county had already determined years prior to the TCA's being formed. They were on the master plan of arterial highways starting in the early 80s. You guys the TCA's were formed in 1987. And B, to pay down the bonds used to build the roads as soon as possible so that the roads would become free roads. And I know that Board Member Spitzer has fought for that in the past, and it's something I hope he'll continue to fight for and revisit how to pay down those bonds as soon as possible. The TCA has largely completed the building of the roads with the exception of the last segment, this dreaded last segment. And Lord knows the TCA has tried for 35 years to build the last segment. As your audited financials today showed, you've written off over $200 million that was spent trying to complete the 241 to the 5 along the legislatively designated route. $200 million, plus the $7 million in legal fees, plus the commitment to pay $28 million towards conservation projects in the San Mateo watershed. So over $250,000 spent on that effort, which when you finance it, it's probably close to $750,000 that was spent on that effort. So no one can say that the TCA didn't try to complete that segment. But now you have a choice. Should you continue to pursue an alternative unplanned extension to I-5? Or should you focus on paying down the bonds and opening up the roads as free roads just as soon as possible? If the board is serious about mobility, I respectfully submit that you should focus on paying down the bonds. I read today in the OC Register, Mr. Cramen said, it's unacceptable to do nothing. We're not asking you to do nothing. We're asking you to do what your original mission was. Build what you could, which you did. You gave up on the legislatively approved route. Now let's focus on paying down the bonds. We'll let other agencies build the additional lanes on the 5, et cetera, and we'll address mobility. But please, focus on paying down the bonds, not extending the toll road any further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Toulousa, followed by the last speaker, Mary Dunlop.
Good afternoon. My name is Zoila Tolosa, and I am a mother of 3 children, 1 in high school, 1 in middle school, and 1 in elementary. I have lived in San Clemente for the last 17 years. I chose this city because of its health benefits. Previously, I lived in the valley, and the air quality was poor. I suffered from constant bronchial issues during those years, so I chose to move to San Clemente because it provided the ocean breezes I needed, cleaner air, and protected open space. My husband moved to San Clemente in 1996. We both have seen much change, and we support positive change and understand that with population growth comes responsible infrastructure development. What the TCA is proposing with these so-called proposed alignments that are supposedly public input is completely irresponsible. Developing a road through established communities, schools, and parks is something that cannot and should not be justified. The health and financial damage that any of these alignments will produce are not acceptable. The arguments for a connection to the 5 freeway are irrational. You are elected officials who have been asked to represent the best interest of all of your constituents. It seems to me that the toll roads is fixated, or the TCA, on connecting to the 5 at any cost, regardless of logic or what is best for the residents. The promised traffic relief is completely false when we look at the proposed lines on the map. There is zero solution to any traffic release when all that is being considered is adding lanes to join to an already congested area. The north-south heavy weekend traffic will only get worse by adding more lanes to a road at the San Diego County line. What happens at the terminus? What solutions do we see by adding more cars? Why is this board not seeking other alternatives such as smart growth initiatives like other states are doing, such as Washington State and Montgomery County in Maryland, to name a couple? With technology rapidly changing, why are we not seeking transportation efficient development that supports the use of alternative transportation modes while reducing the need to drive alone? It is irresponsible of this board to continue to approve spending money on the completion of the 241 East Corridor when the connection to the 5 freeway is destructive in all aspects. The San Onofre Coalition proved its case and got you off their land. If the environmental damage was clearly proven, why is this board not seeing that the environmental impact to any of these proposed alignments are worse because there are people living in these cities? I stand completely in opposition of any toll road extension, and I ask that you stop this now.
Thank you very much. Mary Dunlop.
My name's Mary Dunlap, and I've lived in San Clemente for over 30 years. TCA directors, when will each of you accept and trust the actual voices of the people you are charged to serve? Supervisors on this board, when will you finally listen to and care about the real opinions of the people you were elected to serve, who already stepped forward to engage with you in this process? Directors, you have already collected documented sets of massive numbers of your constituents' informed opinions on the project in front of you, and yet we are learning that the will expressed to you literally by thousands of your most informed and most impacted stakeholders has no use to you, and that each of you has rejected the overwhelming will of these thousands of people from your own public forums. And instead, we now read that you continue to pay huge sums for marketing surveys with slanted, cynical questions until you finally contrive the answers you desperately need to survive. Members of the media, directors, and our supervisors, do you know that under Public Forum 1, actual data showed that hundreds of mobilities ideas collected and that less than 10% of these ideas are even mentioned in the toll roads as an option. Whether for or against, arterials and many other mobility solutions were far more popular than toll roads. Forum 2, actual data you collected was tainted by unethical slanted survey questions, with key survey questions allowing only for choices of the toll road route, and another where yet over 60% of those people crossed out false choices your marketers contrived and wrote out answers that were clearly strongly informed no toll road opinions, instead of clearly calling for arterials and other forward-thinking mobility solutions. Forum 3, actual data you collected from massive numbers of your people with essentially unanimous opinions that toll roads would be the worst choice for the environment, the worst choice you could make for mobility. By the way, I'm sure you can imagine even larger number of voters expressing their anti-toll road opinions if so many of you had not walked away from Forum 3 and discuss. Rather than acknowledge and incorporating the overwhelming will expressed in your own public forums, we are now subject to your surveys re-asking the same questions and the new cynical assumptions and false comparisons. The recordings of these various survey questions and false presuppositions are very damning to your idea of public process. If there is a contentious and mistrust on display in the mess of this public process, it is clearly because your public directors and especially for your supervisors.
Thank you very much. That concludes public comments, and Mr. Joseph, will you take us to closed session, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will be convening in closed session for a conference with real property negotiators under Government Code 54956.8 regarding the property located at 31101 Trabuco Canyon Road, Trabuco Canyon, California, 92679. Agency negotiators are Valerie McFall and Mike Kramen. Negotiating party is Saddle Club LLC, and under negotiation are price and terms. We do not anticipate reportable action.
Thank you. We're adjourned to closed session.
Oh, after closed session?
After closed session. We're back in session. Mr. Joseph, will you bring us out of closed session?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. We now go to the Chief Executive Officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of items this afternoon, sorry. For traffic and revenue for San Joaquin Hills, transactions were up 0.5% in September. Revenue was up 2.4%. And for Foothill Eastern, transactions were up 2.6%, revenue up 4.8% for September. Also, at the previous board meeting, we were authorized for the term rate bond remarketing, so I'd like our CFO to give a brief report on how the remarketing went.
Yes, thank you. After your authorization of that transaction, we successfully completed that transaction in the end of August. We had overwhelming demand for the bonds. For $125 million that we offered, we received orders of over $1 billion. And so we were able to lock in a long-term rate of 3.95%. And so when I had presented the item to you, I had expected a savings of $625,000 a year in interest, and now we will be saving $1.3 million a year in interest. So I'm be happy that the transaction went through so well, and be happy to answer any questions.
Can we do it again next week?
I'd like to.
Chair, can I just comment on that?
Please.
So I'm not involved in the investment banking of my company, but I do know when demand exceeds what is the norm, assuming that 70-80% of our buyers are mutual fund companies, which are very, very specialized analysts when they go for new issues, that's really impressive. And so when we hear people talk, from the public and elsewhere, and they talk about a failing business model and so forth, people who are very, very discerning in that field are really saying they're wise. And I just say this amongst a small group, but that is very impressive, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Director Bartlett?
And I think that we need to get that story, the good stories out there more often. You know, when we had our $2.3 billion refinancing on Foothill Eastern and went to the market and sold out in basically a day, and then you've got over $1 billion that want to commit for $125 million. Those are really good stories. That shows that the financial strength of the agency, because you're not going to get people out there in the industry that are going to want to, you know, sign up for failing toll roads. And when you get commitments of over $1 billion, considering we only had $125 million available, that really is the strength of the agency, the commitment of the board, and also the fact that they know that we've got a strong transportation system here in Orange County with a high level of ridership. You can look month after month, year after year, and our revenues are up and our transactions are up. So those are really shows them into feel-good stories that we need to circulate out there, because there are some good things happening with the agency and certainly with the ridership and the financing.
Very good. Let's let the CEO finish his report, and then we'll go to director comments.
So thank you. I just wanted to report briefly on the King 2 fire, and thank you to all the services, OCFA, and all of the people who have responded. The Windy Ridge Toll Plaza was threatened by the fire, and they did a fire break north of the southbound side. They did a fire break north of it and a pinpoint DC-10 drop south of it, and we suffered no damage there. There was damage to the road. Basically anything around our road that was timber is gone, so we have a guardrail that's now just the guardrail. All the signposts and things like that. We have the fire retardant that's on the road that has to be cleaned off and things like that. Crews are working around the clock, and we will get that road open as soon as it's safe, hopefully the entire road, but if we can open it in partial pieces, lanes at a time, we'll do that as well. We will get our alerts out as quick as we have any good news. As I said, Dave Lowe is out in the field, monitoring what's going on, and so any good news will get out there. We've also done communications out to all of our account holders to let them know the situation and where they can go for information as soon as new information breaks. But we're very hopeful that it will be soon, not later, but we're not going to open the road until it's safe.
Can I share with that?
No. You finished your report.
Okay, just a couple other quick things. You got an
I
email.
wanted to respond to that point.
You will during comments. Let him finish.
Okay,
please.
and then just quickly that we did get an
Take it clean.
email out to people with two very important collections of information. One was the public forum, 3 frequently asked questions, which was sent out to board members yesterday. That will be posted online later today or tomorrow, so that up on the website. South County Traffic Relief Public Opinion Research Report. So we took the bold step of releasing the complete survey so that people had all of the information that we have. That's extremely important to us, that we use this as an opportunity to inform the public of what we learned and not keep that to ourselves. So we did share all of that. I mean, fundamentally, it demonstrated that people want traffic relief, and doing nothing is not an option, is basically what we learned. But all of that information has been sent to each of you. That will also then be posted on our website as well as it has been provided to the media. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I'll now ask for, we'll just go around this way. So Director Ward.
First, I would like to mention that I got a call from a reporter yesterday at 2:30 or before 2:30 in the afternoon asking me about this research, and I emailed Mr. Kramer and asked him to send it to me because I did not know what research the reporter wanted a comment on. I did not get it until 4:50 when everyone else did. I had already made my comments to the reporter who had a deadline at 4:30. So I think directors, we should have gotten that first. It shouldn't have been held just for reporters for a press release. That's just not fair to all of us. The other thing is I would like to agendize for the next meeting that survey and research so that the entire board can hear it and we can ask questions on that survey and the research. I think that is the last. Let me just check real quick. The other comment about that we're saving $1.3 million, on the repayment of those bonds. The public overwhelmingly, 1.2?
The interest.
The interest. That should go back to paying off the bonds. That's what the public overwhelmingly wants. I know this agency wants to keep it and try to better their financial position, but when we save money like that and we're not paying that anymore, it really should go back into what our original purpose was. So I will make that comment and ask the directors to please consider that.
Thank you.
Just a comment to say I'm really glad to be here today.
Nice to have you here.
We're excited that you're here.
We're happy you're here too, Lucio. It's better than your city council meetings, let me tell you. I still haven't gotten over the shock of your city council meetings. Yeah. I have a couple things. I was all over the toll roads during the fire, all throughout the district, actually, my district actually, or the third supervisorial. Valerie, we have a big problem. Those jump outs for the animals burned.
Yep.
And so here I am, we have a fence line right all the way along until you get to a jump out or an undercrossing. And so I don't know what the video is showing on the undercrossing, but I want to make sure that in the event of fire, like we're not blocking animals in. And so one of the things I want to look at, I'm sure you are, but if we obviously have to replace those pilings, or they're called pylons, right? We have to replace those, and they're all smoldering when I was out there. They're burned and everything. So I'd like to understand if we could replace them with concrete so they don't fail. It's probably more expensive to do concrete, but in the long run, right, they won't fail in the event of a fire. So I think we need to look at that. I need some advice. Hopefully you can come back and tell us before you just give the work orders to put, because they're just, the wood is like telephone poles, you know? That's
timbers.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I want to say is that, I drive everywhere in that part of the county because I live there. And since the toll road's been closed, it's a nightmare in East Orange. So I was telling Michael this morning, you should really go out there with video crews now while the toll road's closed and document what's happening on all the arterials.
That's a good idea.
Like, for example, La Colina in North Tustin has been bumper to bumper. It took me a lot longer to get here on the 5 South today from Santa Ana because we had an emergency board meeting to declare the emergency. And I've never seen that much traffic, and obviously because people can't come through the 241. So I think it's important to catalog what we're seeing now, and then when you reopen the road, if we see a measurable difference. Because one of the arguments to one of the directors, I think it was you, Lisa, said earlier, about explaining what we do contribute to regional mobility. And this is a great opportunity to show it for real as opposed to theoretical and in some Stantec study. No, I know, Stantec, or so I'm just teasing on that. But anyway, I think you have the opportunity, Michael, to get that documented, so I'd consider that. But Valerie, I'm very concerned about the mountain lions and the deers. So I don't need you to comment on it now. I just need you to let us know, like, how we plan to replace that stuff. And if you can do it, maybe if concrete makes sense, I don't know. Thanks.
Mr. Puckett.
I'd just like to say I had an opportunity on Tuesday to take a tour with the division chief, and it could have been so much worse, as bad as it was. And we had met some firefighters from Monterey Park and Alhambra were down here, and we just want to thank all of those other units that came down and helped out. And it was just, it was just sad.
Jan, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, I just want to echo the comments around the fire and the response from all over Southern California and beyond. The action level and the response times were such to minimize what could have been a far worse event. It's tragic for those that lost buildings and homes in certain aspects, but if you look at where that fire was going and the rate of speed it's traveling, had it not been for first responders being there very quickly, as Director Puckett mentioned, it could have been so much worse. So definitely a thanks go out to all the agencies involved from near and far, and a lot of those folks are now redeployed up north as well on dealing with the fires up there. So,
Thank you, Brian.
Very briefly, I just wanted to say thank you. I was at the meeting where we told the folks and everybody in attendance here that we would get all those questions answered from the forum and get them posted. And I know we might have overpromised on time frame a little bit, but I'm sure there were practical reasons, why it took as long as it did. But I'm glad we got it done because we seem collectively to be very earnest about doing that as a way perhaps, or at least as I was thinking about it, as a way of maybe helping to address some of the acknowledged deficiencies of that evening. So thank you, CEO Kramen and staff.
Dr. Bartlett?
So, a couple of things. So we have a lot of lessons learned from the Canyon 2 fire. Just coordinate, we had over 1,600 firefighters out there, but just coordinating between OCFA and the various agencies on lead and priorities and so on. So we finally, we had a panic call at one point with communications. They have a $100 million hub site and 90,000 people are connected to that and wouldn't have been able to get information on their cable TV. So we literally texted the address and they got out there with airdrop and foam and water and stopped the fire literally 3 feet from the fence line. It was really close. There was great coordination through all the different agencies, but I think with regard to who takes the lead, because we had Orange Fire, we had Anaheim Fire, we had OCFA, and so I think they're going to now work together on best practices and figure out what to do for the next go-around. But one thing that, to get people in and out of the area during rush hour, OCTA, CTC, I think opened up the 91 express lanes to the public, free, no tolls, for certain periods of time. We may want to just consider that for TCA for certain emergency evacuation and purposes for the public, if that's possible.
So we always consider that, and our policy is Caltrans is the call, and we take the tolls off. So it's basically their call on that. Unfortunately, on this, we were the first road that was closed, so we didn't have the option to make it free because they closed it immediately.
Right.
So
Okay, all right. But in the future, you know, it could be the 91 that's closed and ours is open, so.
exactly where they use it by where they want the people to go
Right.
to attract to the path of least resistance.
Exactly.
In our case on this, and also on the Canyon Fire 1, we were the last place they wanted people to go.
Right, yes.
Dr. Shea?
Yes, thank you. Last but not least.
No, I'm last.
Oh, you're going to keep talking?
I'm
Okay,
last.
good.
You're least.
You're so nice. So what I do want to, lost my train of thought. I want to thank, first of all, our supervisors that are represented here, Bartlett, like Supervisor Bartlett and Spitzer, for all your effort and over the last week, what you've done for this county and helped us coordinate everything to ensure that we were getting out of this whole fire problem as fast as possible, and you just did a great job. So I also wanted to address this, the issue of the jump outs as well. I was going to bring that up originally because I was very worried about our wildlife and how we were, you know, what we were doing to protect them. The one thing that I know staff brought up is these guardrails that are put up. We originally had them steel or metal, correct? And then Caltrans came in and took them all out and turned them into wood, had them replaced with wood, and they've all burnt. So I guess they're out there this week replacing them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How do we any influence to suggest to them we need to go back to, you know, guardrails that are actually more protective of our drivers? Wood isn't it? It would break away on some of these.
Yeah, that's sort of the irony of a guardrail is that it's safety is the number one concern in DSOs, and we learn more and more as we have experience, unfortunately, with cars hitting guardrail, and so it's something that we consider, and you know, certainly at the time, changing to wood was done for safety reasons, and you know, we certainly have a lot more cars.
Is it because it's more flexible? Because it doesn't seem like the wood would be safer. It seemed to be less safe. If a car hit it, they could maybe go off the cliff or something.
Right, so they're designed to absorb the energy. And so the breaking away of the wood absorbs more energy than the steel post would. It's also the terminal end sections, and you don't want me to give you a lecture on guardrail, but it's something that's constantly evolving, and it's based on safety. So that's the bottom line of.
So we're going to maintain them as wood rails, even though we tend to have these open space fires?
You know, unfortunately, people hit guardrails a lot more often than we have fires. So I think the vehicle safety would be the driving consideration here.
Okay. But we originally had them as metal rails, right? And we thought those were safe and appropriate, did we not?
At the time, and then we learn with experience, well, not our own direct experience, but I mean, that's a very specialized area that Federal Highways takes the lead on, and Caltrans as well in terms of roadside safety, and we're always making improved safety on the roads.
So they're out there now, 24/7, trying to get these all replaced because we can't open the roads to the guardrails are back in place, isn't that correct?
Correct, unless they develop a way of opening certain lanes while they continue to,
Okay.
once the roads are safe and CHP is happy that they're safe, Caltrans is convinced that they're safe, the road open to the extent possible. And if that's while repairs continue, they'll do that as well.
And then once again, just the jump outs, we could apply cement design or some other kind of design that we wouldn't in the future if we had a fire experience this, so animals would be trapped.
Working with UC Davis over the next month, as well as Caltrans and our biologists, and so I can report back to the board next month on what our recommendations are to make the repairs to the fence.
Okay.
But we're going to go out Tuesday with all those personnel and look at the damage that's been done and make an assessment. And as I said, I can report back to the board next month on what recommendations
Yeah,
are.
the sooner the better, right?
Yes.
We have to get those repaired.
Definitely.
Well, thank you very much, everybody that's, been supportive of all these efforts the last week. Thank you.
So I guess I don't have to go into my vast knowledge of guardrails but I do remember after we had fires up in Crestline and Big Bear and that area, all of our wood guardrail posts were changed to metal, changed back to metal back then. So I just want to point that out. I do want to thank everyone for what I call patient meeting discipline. I appreciate everyone's effort to speak succinctly, and I thought we had a pretty good meeting today, so thank you all very much. With that, this meeting of both boards, San Juan Hills and Foothill Eastern, yeah, thank you, I was reading. I can't read and talk at the same time. Yes, please don't have this end. So we are adjourning this meeting until November 9th. Thank you. 2017 at 9:30 a.m. in the morning.